brain depository. After depositing your mind, you may come here to claim blessings, endless wealth, great fortune, immunity from all ailments, unparalleled charm, and many other buffs. Congratulations! Civilization Blue Star has been selected to participate in the game Eternal Life. In 30 seconds, all healthy adults aged 18 to 50 across Civilization Blue Star will be transported to the world of Eternal Life simultaneously. This is Civilization Blue Star's only chance to save itself. Should every player from Civilization Blue Star perish, Civilization Blue Star will be erased completely. A cold, emotionless voice echoed inside the minds of every person on Blue Star at the same time. Instantly, the entire planet descended into chaos. What the hell is going on? The game Eternal Life? Am I hallucinating? Buddy, you're not imagining things. I heard it too. We're getting pulled into some game world, aren't we? This Eternal Life game sounds extremely dangerous. We can die in there. It's far worse than that. If every single player dies, our whole civilization gets wiped out. That means everyone staying on Blue Star will die alongside us. Does that mean the fate of our entire civilization rests on our shoulders now? Disaster strikes. I just turned 18. I don't want to die. Meanwhile, inside a luxurious villa in Jianghai City, Great Xia, a handsome teenage boy around 17 or 18 years old pushed his body to the limit in the villa gym. 999. 1,000. Huh. So you stood upright and let out a long breath. 16 minutes, 45.96 seconds for 1,000 push-ups. Not bad. I shaved another 5 seconds off my last record. Suyu glanced at the timer and tugged the corners of his mouth upward, satisfied with his performance. Suddenly, the emotionless voice resounded inside his head. Eternal Life game? Blue Star's only chance for survival. Suyu's brows tightened. Only 30 seconds of buffer time. There's no way to bid my parents farewell in person. Suyu's parents worked in classified research facilities. Ordinarily, he only met them once every 6 months, and regular communication was impossible. The crisis had erupted without warning. With merely 30 seconds left, Suyu could not reach them to say goodbye face-to-face. Thankfully, both of my parents are over 50. They won't be pulled into the game. Otherwise, I'd be truly worried for their safety. A wave of relief washed over Suyu. His parents were researchers with little combat capability. Aged as they were, their physical condition had deteriorated further. If they were forced into Eternal Life, they would face overwhelming peril. Suyu grabbed his phone and spent more than 20 seconds typing a farewell text message to his parents. Though his parents could not access mobile phones on a daily basis, they would see the message sooner or later. Buzz. Countless white pillars of light descended from the sky, enveloping billions of people across Blue Star. Whoosh. In the next instant, those billions of individuals vanished alongside the radiance. Blinding white light flickered, and Suyu found himself standing within a resplendent grand hall. Welcome, players of Civilization Blue Star, to Eternal Life. Basic game information is being uploaded to your consciousness. You may review details at will. The next second, a flood of information surged into Suyu's mind, all fundamental rules related to Eternal Life. He quickly gained a basic grasp of the game. Player Suyu, please set your in-game nickname. Emperor Yu. Suyu did not hesitate. Back on Blue Star, he always used the alias Emperor Yu for every game he played. Commencing physical scan. Scan complete. Generating personal status panel. Status panel ready. Please select your class. I'll check my base stats before picking a class. Suyu took a deep breath. In Eternal Life, initial attributes were closely tied to physical fitness in reality. In short, the stronger your real-world physique, the higher your starting stats upon entering the game. Nickname, Emperor Yu. Level, LV.10/1000. Attributes, Strength 10, Stamina 10, Agility 10, Spirit 9, Intelligence 9. Excellent. My starting stats surpass 99.9999 of all players. Suyu smiled faintly. For all players of Blue Star, 10 points represented the hard cap for any base attribute. The vast majority of ordinary people possessed roughly 5 points for each attribute, the average baseline. Suyu, however, could complete 1,000 push-ups in just over 16 minutes. His physical prowess stood far above average. I choose Archer. Suyu reached a swift decision. With his starting stats, physical combat classes suited him best. There were 4 foundational physical classes in Eternal Life: Warrior, Knight, Assassin, and Archer. Warriors, Knights, and Assassins all relied on close-quarters combat. Suyu had little practical experience fighting up close. Archery was a different matter entirely. Suyu had practiced archery since he turned 12. Now his skill reached level 9 of civilian archery standards. The Archer class was the perfect fit for him. Class selected. Initiating talent awakening. I hope I awaken a powerful high-tier talent. Anticipation glinted in Su Yu's eyes. According to the fundamental game information, talents were divided into 8 tiers, ascending from low to high. Yellow tier, Mystic tier, Earth tier, Sky tier, King tier, Emperor tier, Sovereign tier, and God tier. Moreover, players with superior base attributes possessed greater odds of awakening high-tier talents. In addition, awakened talents usually match the player's attribute strengths. For example, a player with exceptionally high strength would most likely unlock a strength-focused talent. Su Yu boasted maximum starting values for strength, stamina, and agility, while spirit and intelligence fell just 1 point short of the cap. He looked forward to seeing the tier and effects of his new talent. Talent awakening complete. Congratulations. You have obtained the Transcendent God tier talent, Boundless Growth. Wait, Transcendent God tier? Did I hear that right? Su Yu stared in shock. The basic game materials made no mention of a Transcendent God tier. Could there be a system glitch? Moments later, a thought occurred to him. The information he possessed was only the beginner overview of eternal life. Transcendent God tier sounded superior to God tier. It might be covered in advanced documentation. I should first examine what Boundless Growth can do. Su Yu focused his mind and called up the details of his talent. LV.1 Boundless Growth, Transcendent God tier. Effect 1. All of your skills can break past their level caps. Effect 2. You gain 1 skill point for every monster you slay that is equal to or higher than your own level. Note: collect Transcendent God tier talent blossoms to level up this talent. Current upgrade requirement: 1 Transcendent God tier talent blossom. Hiss. Truly worthy of being a Transcendent God tier talent. Its abilities are incredible. Shock flickered across Su Yu's face. Within Eternal Life, every skill had a fixed maximum level, varying based on the skill's tier. Yet the first effect of Boundless Growth directly defied the fundamental rules of the game. It allowed every skill Su Yu owned to surpass its level limit. That meant even the lowest grade skill could achieve unimaginable power in his hands. As for the second effect of Boundless Growth, while it did not break game rules, its importance rivaled the first. The two effects complemented one another, inseparable. If Boundless Growth only granted the first effect, it would still be formidable, yet its potential would be limited. Leveling skills was never an easy task. Generally speaking, there were 2 primary methods to raise skill levels. At low skill levels, players could practice repeatedly to accumulate proficiency and slowly increase skill ranks. Once skills grew powerful enough, simple practice would no longer generate proficiency. The second method relied on skill points to boost proficiency, enabling rapid skill advancement. 3 main ways existed to earn skill points. First, players gained 5 skill points every level, the most consistent source. Second, players had an extremely small chance to receive a small number of skill points as rewards for clearing high-difficulty dungeons. Third, consume skill stones to obtain skill points. Skill stones were extraordinarily rare. Only a minuscule chance existed to acquire them after conquering high-difficulty dungeons. Players could also trade for skill stones from other players or NPCs. However, scarcity drove prices sky high. Ordinary players could never afford them. Without the second effect of Boundless Growth, gathering large quantities of skill points would be next to impossible for Su Yu. This talent can also be upgraded. A single Transcendent God tier talent blossom will raise it to level 2. The effect should grow stronger then, and I might unlock additional abilities. A sharp glint flashed in Su Yu's eyes. With Boundless Growth, the Transcendent God tier talent, he was confident he could climb to the peak of Eternal Life. After reviewing the talent description, Su Yu brought up his complete status panel once more. Nickname: Emperor Yu. Class: Novice Archer. Level: LV.10/1000. Attributes: Strength 10, Stamina 10, Agility 10, Spirit 9, Intelligence 9. Physical attack: 20 Strength times 2, Magic attack: 18 Intelligence times 2. Health points: 200 Stamina times 20, Mana points: 180 Spirit times 20. Physical defense: 10 Stamina times 1, Magic defense: 9 Spirit times 1. Attack speed: 1.01, Movement speed: 5.01. Lifespan: 101 years. Talent: LV.1 Boundless Growth, Transcendent God tier. Class skills: LV.1 Basic Archery Common Grade, LV.1 Mana Arrow Common Grade, LV.1 Soul Piercing Arrow Common Grade. Solid attributes, and the lifespan stat is fantastic. Su Yu nodded in approval as he read the panel. His 5 core attributes nearly reached the biological limit for humans from Blue Star, roughly double the average for most people. His lifespan was especially astounding, sitting at 101 years. Barring accidents, Suyu could expect to live to nearly 120, almost hitting the maximum natural lifespan of humanity on Blue Star. Of course, within eternal life, players could consume rare treasures to extend lifespan. Even immortality was not entirely out of reach, but that required overwhelming strength and constant vigilance against being killed. When slain inside the game, players lost a portion of their lifespan. If lifespan remained above 0, they could resurrect at revival points. If lifespan fell to 0, death would be permanent. Tutorial completed. You will be teleported to Novice Village 9528 of the Saint Dragon Empire. As the system notification echoed, a column of white light descended, and Suyu's figure vanished instantly. A moment of darkness washed over Suyu. When his vision cleared, he stood upon a broad plaza. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Beams of light continued to deposit new arrivals. In a short time, the revival plaza of the Novice Village was packed full of people. Wow, this is the world of eternal life. The realism is unbelievable. Mate, it's fully authentic. Haven't you reviewed the basic game knowledge in your mind? Exactly. Eternal life is a genuine world. To the native inhabitants, we are outsiders who appeared out of nowhere. Ha, I was just a nobody back on Blue Star. In this game, I'm going to rewrite my fate. Rewrite your fate? What tier talent did you awaken? Could it be the legendary god tier? I've got a king tier talent. Pretty good. I work as a fitness coach, so my physical condition is decent. Whoa, a king tier talent expert. Hope you can carry us through the Novice Village. Thank you all. Once I reach the main city, I plan to found a guild. Anyone can join me. We'll expand the guild and live prosperous lives together. Count me in. I have an earth tier talent. Players chattered excitedly on the revival plaza. Meanwhile, Suyu had already walked away, heading straight toward the exit of the Novice Village. Every NPC in Eternal Life was a sentient, genuine being. Players could converse with them, and raising an NPC's favor might unlock simple beginner quests. Suyu had no intention of taking those quests. Simple tasks naturally yielded meager rewards. If he intended to accept quests, he would wait until his power grew strong enough to pursue high-difficulty, high-reward advanced missions. His top priority right now was leaving the Novice Village, heading into the wilds to hunt monsters, harvest skill points in bulk, and rapidly boost his strength. You have entered Gale Plains. Ding. First entry to Gale Plains. Beginner gift pack has been automatically delivered to your inventory. Please check. The instant Suyu stepped outside the Novice Village safe zone, 2 consecutive system alerts sounded in his mind. He was not surprised. The beginner package was mentioned in the fundamental game briefing. The beginner gift pack served as starting resources for every player. Upon opening it, players obtained beginner weapons matching their class, alongside modest supplies. Just as Suyu opened his inventory to unpack the gift pack, another notification rang out. Ding. You are the first player from Novice Village 9528 to leave the Novice Village safe zone. Special reward granted. 1 bronze grade class skill book. A pleasant surprise. Suyu never expected this bonus. The basic game documentation never mentioned extra rewards for the first player exiting the safe zone. Otherwise, this reward might have slipped from his grasp. Suyu was not the first player to spawn in Novice Village 9528. Hundreds of others arrived before him. If any of those players were fast assassins, they might have beaten him out of the safe zone. Suyu focused his thoughts and opened the beginner gift pack first. You have obtained ×1 common grade beginner longbow, ×100 common grade beginner arrows, ×5 common grade minor health recovery potion, ×5 common grade minor mana recovery potion, ×5 common grade small purified water, ×5 common grade small black ration loaves. In an instant, numerous items appeared inside Suyu's inventory. All players started with a 50-slot inventory. Consumables, materials, and ammunition such as beginner arrows could be stacked, with a maximum stack limit of 9,999. So although it looked like quite a lot of items, they only occupied 6 inventory slots in reality. After opening the newbie gift pack, Suyu immediately turned his gaze to the 2 novice weapons. Novice Longbow Common Tier, Physical Attack plus 10, Equipment Requirement, Level 1 Archer. Novice Arrows Common Tier, Physical Attack plus 1, Equipment Requirement, Level 1 Archer. For starter gear, an extra 11 points of physical attack is pretty good, Suyu nodded in satisfaction. In the game Eternity, equipment, skills, items, materials, and more were divided into 13 tiers. Common Tier, Black Iron Tier, Bronze Tier, Silver Tier, Gold Tier, Diamond Tier, Stellar Tier, Silver Moon Tier, Blazing Sun Tier, Legend Tier, Epic Tier, Legendary Tier, and Divine Tier. As common tier equipment, the novice weapons granting 11 physical attack were equivalent to the base attack of a level 1 ordinary player. Suyu was quite content with that. Once he equipped the novice longbow and novice arrows, Suyu shifted his attention to the unexpected reward he had just obtained. Class Skill Tome Bronze Tier. Upon use, randomly grants 1 bronze tier skill for your class. Suyu did not hesitate and chose to use it right away. Congratulations! You have acquired the bronze tier skill, Power Shot. LV1 Power Shot Bronze Tier. Passive skill, increases self-critical rate by 5. Not bad at all. A passive skill that boosts critical chance. A smile spread across Suyu's face. In Suyu's opinion, passive skills were incredibly valuable. Permanent stat boosts came with passive skills, and they consumed no resources whatsoever. What mattered most was Suyu's infinite growth talent. He could raise passive skill levels to astonishing heights. The more passive skills he gained, the better. He had no need to worry about lacking skill points to invest in them. So you could easily imagine the future. Once he possessed an array of maxed-out passive skills, even a regular basic arrow from him would unleash devastating power. Calming his thoughts, Suyu continued deeper into the Swiftwind Plains. After walking roughly 50 meters, he spotted his first monster. LV1 Big-Eared Rabbit Common Tier HP. 100 out of 100 physical attack, 15 physical defense, 5 magic defense, 2 skills, none. Not too threatening. The stats of level 1 common mobs are not high. Suyu quickly assessed. The attributes of level 1 ordinary monsters were roughly equal to the base stats of regular players. Yet players possessed novice equipment and class skills. In a one-on-one fight, level 1 mobs stood no chance. Players could also team up to coordinate attacks, meaning level 1 common monsters posed almost no threat to adventurers. I wonder if level 2 mobs will have a sharp jump in stats, Suyu pondered. He suspected the low stats of level 1 monsters were simply a newbie benefit designed by Eternity. It allowed players to hone their combat techniques in a relatively safe environment. Even deaths within the starting village carried penalties. Every time a player died in the novice zone, they lost one of their lifespan, with a minimum deduction of 1 year. Death penalties grew far harsher once players left the starting village. The higher the area's level, the heavier the punishment upon dying. Time to start leveling. Suyu fixed his eyes on the big-eared rabbit ahead. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Suyu loosed a novice arrow. 26. The arrow struck the rabbit's back, blood splattering across the surrounding grass. Squeak! The big-eared rabbit screeched. Its eyes turned crimson, and it charged straight towards Suyu. Suyu remained calm and fired another arrow. Whoosh! 26. My aim's off. I missed the rabbit's eyes twice running. Suyu was dissatisfied. After all, Suyu held a grade 9 certification in competitive archery. He stood merely 40 to 50 meters away from the creature, yet failed to hit its eyes twice in a row. That frustrated him. A big-eared rabbit's eyes and heart were its weak points. Striking a weak point dealt double damage. Suyu took a deep breath, readjusted his posture, and loosed another arrow. Whoosh! The sharp arrow pierced the rabbit's eye and penetrated its skull. 52. Weak point strike successfully slain. LV1 Big-Eared Rabbit Common Tier. Experience plus 10, skill point plus 1. Great! Earn myself a skill point. Delight flickered in Suyu's eyes. After killing the rabbit, Suyu strode forward to its corpse. TSK, such meager loot. I have to retrieve these novice arrows after every fight, Suyu muttered. I should try mana arrows next. They consume mana, but save the time spent recovering physical arrows. Suyu glanced at his skill panel. He currently had 4 skills. 3 were innate starting skills for archers, and the 4th was the bronze tier passive power shot he had just unlocked. LV1 Basic Archery Common Tier. Passive skill, attack speed plus 5, movement speed plus 5. LV1 Mana Arrow Common Tier. Active skill. Conjure a mana arrow, physical attack, plus 1. Consumes 1 mana, no cooldown. LV1 Soul Breaking Shot Common Tier. Active skill. Fire a powerful arrow dealing 20 plus physical attack, times 120 damage to the target. Consumes 10 mana, 5-second cooldown. At level 1, Mana Arrow adds the same 1 physical attack as Novice Arrows. This starting skill is really practical, Suyu thought to himself. Suyu only carried 100 Novice Arrows in total. Though he could recover arrows after combat, some would inevitably be lost. When facing swarms of monsters, he would have no chance to retrieve spent arrows at all. That was where Mana Arrow shined. As long as Suyu retained mana, he would never run out of ammunition. I'm finally going to experience skill upgrading. Suyu looked at the newly acquired skill point on his stat sheet, eager to try it out. Leveling a common tier skill from level 1 to 2 required 100 skill proficiency points. Black Iron tier skills needed 200, Bronze tier 300, and so on. 100 proficiency points equaled 1 skill point. In other words, a single skill point could raise a common tier skill from level 1 to level 2. I'll upgrade basic archery first, Suyu quickly made up his mind. For the early game, he prioritized leveling passive skills. While higher active skill levels boosted damage, they also increased mana costs with each cast. Suyu only had 180 maximum mana and owned no equipment to speed up mana regeneration. Even low-cost skills like Mana Arrow would drain his mana quickly once their levels rose. Basic Archery, however, was a passive skill requiring no resource expenditure. It boosted both attack speed and movement speed, greatly aiding his monster hunting and traversal. You consumed 1 skill point. Basic Archery level increased. Current level, 2. LV2 Basic Archery Common Tier. Passive skill, attack speed plus 5, movement speed plus 5, attack range plus 5. It unlocked a new stat, increased attack range. Suyu was pleasantly surprised. He had assumed leveling basic archery from 1 to 2 would simply raise attack speed and movement speed further. Instead, those 2 bonuses stayed unchanged, and he gained an additional stat, plus 5 attack range. For an archer, greater attack range meant stronger threat potential and made it easier to fight monsters without taking damage. Excellent. Let's keep leveling. Suyu advanced deeper into the Swiftwind Plains. Soon, 2 big-eared rabbits came into view. Suyu steadied himself, drawing his novice longbow as a blue mana arrow materialized on the string. Whoosh. 52. Weak point strike. The mana arrow hit one rabbit squarely in the eye. Squeak. Squeak. Attacked, both rabbits sprinted towards Suyu. Suyu watched them approach, completely unfazed. Whoosh. Another mana arrow flew forth. 52. Weak point strike. Another precise weak point hit. Suyu was finally displaying his master archery prowess. Successfully slain LV1 Big-Eared Rabbit Common Tier. Experience plus 10, skill point plus 1. Whoosh. 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 26. 52. Weak point strike 26. Successfully slain LV1 Big-Eared Rabbit Common Tier. Experience plus 10, skill point plus 1. In less than 5 seconds, Suyu loosed 5 arrows, 3 of which landed weak point strikes. The 2 rabbits did not even get close enough to brush Suyu's clothes before they perished. Keep upgrading basic archery. So you could feel how vital basic archery was for an archer. Though merely a common tier passive skill, its bonuses covered core archer attributes. Attack speed, movement speed, and attack range. An archer could never have too much of any of these. Higher attack speed drastically raised damage output per second. Movement speed and attack range formed the foundation for kiting enemies. With fast enough movement and long enough range, foes would die without ever touching the archer. You consumed 2 skill points. Basic archery level increased. Current level, 3. LV3 Basic Archery Common Tier. Passive skill, attack speed plus 10, movement speed plus 10, attack range plus 5. The attack range bonus didn't rise, but attack speed and movement speed doubled, Suyu nodded. After upgrading the skill, Suyu pressed onward deeper into the plains. He killed every big-eared rabbit he spotted along the way, chasing every available skill point. Successfully slain LV1 Big-Eared Rabbit Common Tier. Experience plus 10, copper coin plus 5, skill point plus 1. Successfully slain LV1 Big-Eared Rabbit Common Tier. Experience plus 10, skill point plus 1. System notifications echoed in Suyu's mind continuously. His experience bar and skill point count climbed steadily. Whenever he gathered enough skill points to level basic archery further, Suyu upgraded it without hesitation. The higher basic archery grew, the faster his monster farming efficiency became. Roughly a dozen minutes later, successfully slain LV1 Big-Eared Rabbit Common Tier. Experience plus 10, copper coin plus 5, skill point plus 1. I can finally raise basic archery to level 10. After killing the nearby rabbit and hearing the system prompt, excitement flashed across Suyu's eyes. According to official game documentation for Eternity, every skill unlocked an extra unique trait upon reaching every 10th level. Suyu had high expectations for the LV10 trait of basic archery. You consumed 9 skill points. Basic archery level increased. Current level, 10. LV10 Basic Archery Common Tier. Passive skill, attack speed plus 30, movement speed plus 30, attack range plus 25. LV10 trait, strength plus 50, agility plus 50. Perfect. These 50 points of strength and agility instantly multiply my combat power several times over. Suyu nodded in approval. The LV-10 trait of basic archery looked straightforward, yet it boosted Su Yu's strength tremendously. Normally, players gained +1 to all stats and 5 free attribute points upon each level up. To earn 50 strength and 50 agility through leveling alone, a player would need to advance more than a dozen levels. While players would unlock many other ways to raise core attributes later on, at this stage, the LV-10 trait of basic archery was far from useless. It was remarkably powerful. Continue hunting big-eared rabbits to collect more skill points. Before I hit level 2, I can max out another common tier skill to level 10, Su Yu thought silently. Raising a common tier skill from level 1 to level 10 required a total of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 9 equals 45 skill points. Su Yu needed 1,000 experience to advance from level 1 to level 2. Each big-eared rabbit granted 10 experience. That meant while still level 1, Su Yu could kill up to 100 rabbits and collect 100 skill points. He had already spent 45 skill points upgrading basic archery. The remaining 55 skill points were more than enough to bring another common tier skill all the way to level 10. Moments later, a lone big-eared rabbit appeared within Su Yu's sight. Whoosh! Su Yu immediately conjured and fired a mana arrow. 126. The mana arrow pierced the rabbit's back. No weak point trigger occurred, yet the devastating strike killed it instantly. Successfully slain LV-1 big-eared rabbit common tier. Experience +10, skill point +1. I can hit triple-digit basic attack damage at level 1. If other players saw this, they'd suspect I'm cheating. Su Yu curled his lips into a faint grin. The terrifying potential of his transcendent talent was beginning to show itself. Ordinary players gained only 5 skill points per level up. They would have to level 9 times just to gather 45 skill points. Su Yu earned the same amount merely by slaying 45 rabbits. The gap between them was incomparable. Additionally, regular players would never dare sink so many skill points into common tier skills. They could not fathom the advantages Su Yu enjoyed. Should I upgrade Mana Arrow first, or Soul-Breaking Shot? Su Yu fell into thought. After a brief pause, he reached a decision. Upgrade Soul-Breaking Shot first. Even though Mana Arrow was the skill he used most often, that was exactly why he needed to limit its level growth. If Mana Arrow's level grew too high, its mana cost would become too heavy. He would quickly drain his mana pool, ruining sustained combat capability. Soul-Breaking Shot was his only dedicated active damage skill. Higher levels drastically increased its burst potential. Once upgraded, it could serve as a trump card for critical moments. You consumed 1 skill point. Soul-Breaking Shot level increased. Current level, 2. LV2 Soul-Breaking Shot Common Tier, active skill. Fire a powerful arrow dealing 40 plus physical attack, times 125 damage to the target. Consumes 12 mana, 5-second cooldown. At level 2, Soul-Breaking Shot can deal roughly 200 damage. I wonder how much damage it will gain once it hits level 10 and unlocks its trait, Su Yu wondered. To Su Yu, level 2 Soul-Breaking Shot felt somewhat underwhelming. It only dealt slightly more damage than regular attacks. He would be better off firing extra arrows. Casting Mana Arrow twice consumed merely 2 mana, 1/6 of Soul-Breaking Shot's cost. His current attack speed stood at 1.68, meaning he could fire nearly 3 arrows every 2 seconds. In most situations, basic attacks were more than enough to handle threats. Back to leveling. Su Yu closed his skill panel and continued searching for big-eared rabbits nearby. Successfully slain LV-1 big-eared rabbit common tier. Experience +10, copper coin +5, skill point +1. Successfully slain LV-1 big-eared rabbit common tier. Experience +10, skill point +1. No big-eared rabbit could withstand Su Yu's arrow wherever he went. Suddenly, Su Yu halted his steps. Not far ahead, figures of level 2 monsters came into view. LV.2 Swift Hare Normal Grade, HP, 300 300ths, Physical Attack, 45, Magic Attack, 45, Physical Defense, 15, Magic Defense, 7, Skill, Windblade. Just as I expected. The stats of these level 2 normal monsters are far superior to level 1 ones, Su Yu thought to himself. Though still rabbits, level 2 Swift Hares were vastly stronger. Their base attributes were 3 times those of big-eared rabbits, and they even possessed a long-range attack skill. For most ordinary players at level 2, their combat power could not match a Swift Hare. I won't head into the level 2 monster zone for now. I'll keep farming big-eared rabbits. Su Yu casually turned and left. While defeating higher-level monsters rewarded more experience, leveling up was not Su Yu's top priority right now. What he needed most was to accumulate skill points to rapidly boost his strength. Farming big-eared rabbits remained the most efficient way to gain skill points. He could one-shot every big-eared rabbit with a single arrow, yet he could not kill a swift hare instantly. Successfully slain LV.1 big-eared rabbit normal grade. EXP plus 10, copper coin plus 5, skill point plus 1. Successfully slain LV.1 big-eared rabbit normal grade. EXP plus 10, skill point plus 1. Suyu continued his relentless hunt of big-eared rabbits. Soon, his skill point count reached 43. He was only a step away from raising Soul Reaper Arrow to level 10. Shortly after, he killed another big-eared rabbit. He finally had enough skill points to upgrade Soul Reaper Arrow straight from level 2 to level 10. I hope the level 10 trait of Soul Reaper Arrow turns out great, Suyu silently hoped. Soul Reaper Arrow was his only active offensive skill, yet he had never used it once. The main reason was its current underwhelming performance, making it rather mediocre. Suyu could only hope that its level 10 trait would improve its lackluster state. You consumed 2 skill points. Soul Reaper Arrow level increased. Current level, 3. You consumed 3 skill points. Soul Reaper Arrow level increased. Current level, 4. You consumed 9 skill points. Soul Reaper Arrow level increased. Current level, 10. LV.10 Soul Reaper Arrow normal grade, active skill. Fire a powerful arrow, dealing 200 plus 165 physical attack damage to the target. Consumes 28 mana. Cooldown, for 0.5 seconds. LV.10 trait. Upon slaying a target with Soul Reaper Arrow, fully refund all mana consumed by the skill. The level 10 trait of Soul Reaper Arrow is incredibly practical. Suyu's eyes lit up. With this trait, he could use Soul Reaper Arrow for finishing blows without worrying about mana expenditure. It was essentially an enhanced basic attack. This useful trait would drastically boost his farming efficiency. In Suyu's opinion, aside from its somewhat lengthy cooldown, Soul Reaper Arrow now had almost no flaws. A level 10 Soul Reaper Arrow can deal roughly 400 damage. That's enough to one-shot a swift hare. A surge of excitement washed over him. A swift hare possessed 300 HP and 15 physical defense. Without triggering weak point strike or critical hit, Suyu needed at least 3 arrows to take one down. Now, a single Soul Reaper Arrow would finish the job. No mana would be spent, and he would expend far less stamina as well. I'll head straight for the level 2 monster zone. I just need to kill another 10 big-eared rabbits along the way to reach level 2. Suyu quickly made up his mind. Moments later, a big-eared rabbit appeared within his sight. Soul Reaper Arrow. Without hesitation, Suyu unleashed the skill. A green arrow materialized instantly and shot through the air. 1,640. Weak point strike plus critical hit. The arrow struck the rabbit's heart, and its terrifying power blew the creature into chunks. Whoa, both weak point strike and critical hit triggered at once. Suyu was stunned by the damage he dealt. Power shot granted him an extra 5 critical hit rate, but the low probability meant he rarely landed critical strikes. He never imagined his first cast of Soul Reaper Arrow would trigger both bonuses simultaneously. With quadruple damage, this single arrow dealt 4-digit damage, setting his new personal damage record. Dealing 4-digit damage at level 1 would look like blatant cheating, Suyu mused. Even players with maximum base strength or intelligence, equipped with beginner gear, only had around 30 attack at the start. Even with skills, they could only hit 3-digit damage at most if both weak point strike and critical hit activated. 4-digit damage was simply unthinkable for them. Composing himself, Suyu continued toward the level 2 monster zone. Successfully slain LV.1 big-eared rabbit normal grade. EXP plus 10, copper coin plus 5, skill point plus 1. Successfully slain LV.1 big-eared rabbit normal grade. EXP plus 10, skill point plus 1. One big-eared rabbit after another fell beneath his arrows. Suddenly, golden light enveloped Suyu, and his level rose to 2. Congratulations. You have reached level 2. All attributes plus 1, free attribute points plus 5, skill points plus 5. Not bad. I hit level 2 in under half an hour. This pace is remarkably fast. Suyu nodded slightly. In less than 30 minutes, he had slain over 100 big-eared rabbits. That meant 3 to 4 kills every minute. Most of his time was spent searching for monsters. The actual fighting took very little time. After unlocking the level 10 trait of basic archery, his strength surged, and no big-eared rabbit could survive a single arrow. His farming efficiency had reached its peak. If only I could find the beginner village dungeons. Then I could level up and farm skill points at the same time. Suyu thought. According to the official lore of Eternal Life, there were 3 dungeons within the beginner village, unlocked at levels 5, 7, and 10 respectively. Monster density inside dungeons far exceeded the open wilderness. he would save plenty of time hunting for targets, making dungeons the perfect place to farm skill points. However, the locations of these 3 dungeons shifted randomly every single day, making them difficult to locate. Never mind thinking too far ahead. First, I'll farm swift hares and push to level 3. Suyu shook his head and pressed deeper toward the level 2 monster zone. Soon, swift hares came into view. Soul Reaper arrow. From 70 meters away, Suyu loosed an arrow. Bang! In the next instant, a resting swift hare was pierced straight through by the projectile. 400. Successfully slain LV.2 swift hare normal grade. EXP plus 20, copper coin plus 10, skill point plus 1. Leveling from 2 to 3 requires 3000 EXP. Each swift hare gives 20 EXP. That means I can earn up to 150 skill points while staying at level 2 by hunting swift hares, so you quickly calculated. Now the question is, should I spend newly earned skill points to further upgrade basic archery and Soul Reaper arrow, or invest in power shot? So you fell into contemplation. Under normal rules, level 10 was the cap for normal grade skills. But Suyu possessed the boundless growth talent. All his skills could break past the level limit. Even normal grade skills that had reached level 10 could keep leveling up under him, unlocking additional traits. Raising a normal grade skill from level 10 to 20 to unlock the level 20 trait required 10 plus 11 plus 19 is equal to 145 skill points. As a bronze grade skill, power shot required 3 times as many skill points to level up compared to normal grade skills. That meant 135 skill points would bring power shot to level 10 and unlock its level 10 trait. The cost to unlock new traits was roughly equal for both options, leaving Suyu torn. I'll prioritize leveling basic archery first. Suyu soon reached a decision. In his eyes, power shot and Soul Reaper arrow were both damage-increasing skills, and he already had more than enough firepower. A single Soul Reaper arrow could instantly kill a swift hare with only 300 HP. Most of Suyu's time was spent locating monsters. Anything that improved his search efficiency would boost both leveling and skill point gains. Basic archery increased movement speed. The higher its level, the faster he could scout for targets, raising his overall efficiency. Moreover, Suyu suspected the level 20 trait of basic archery might grant further strength and agility bonuses. That would push both his offensive power and mobility to new heights. With that thought, he focused his mind and began upgrading basic archery. You consumed 10 skill points. Basic archery level increased. Current level, 11. LV.11 basic archery normal grade. Passive skill. Attack speed plus 35, movement speed plus 35, attack range plus 25. Right after, he allocated all 5 free attribute points gained from leveling into agility. Attributes: Strength 61, Vitality 11, Agility 66, Spirit 10, Intelligence 10, Physical Attack 132, Attack Speed 1.79, Movement Speed 6.58 HP 220, Mana 200, Physical Defense 11, Magic Defense 10. Great. My stats are probably leagues ahead of everyone else, so you thought. Keep farming swift hares. Aim to max basic archery to level 20 within half an hour. Suyu walked deeper into the swift hare plains. He was still on the outskirts of the level 2 zone. Monster density rose further toward the center. While the improvement was modest, it would still raise his leveling and farming efficiency slightly. Successfully slain LV. 2 swift hare normal grade. EXP plus 20, copper coin plus 10, skill point plus 1. Successfully slain LV.2 swift hare normal grade. EXP plus 20, skill point plus 1. Along the way, countless swift hares died before they could even react. Basic archery extended Suyu's attack range. For archers, higher strength also increased effective range. With 61 strength boosted by basic archery, his attack range far exceeded the detection radius of swift hares. Strolling through the swift hare territory, Suyu moved as casually as walking in his own backyard, relaxed and unhurried. Whenever he spotted a swift hare in the distance, one Soul Reaper arrow was all it took to secure the kill. As he ventured deeper, the number of swift hares he killed climbed, and his stock of skill points grew steadily. Basic archery's level continued to rise bit by bit. Suyu's strength improved in small increments every few minutes. Roughly 20 minutes later, successfully slain LV.2 swift hare normal grade. EXP plus 20, skill point plus 1. Suyu paused after killing another swift hare. I wonder if the level 20 trait of basic archery will keep adding strength and agility. Anticipation stirred within him. For Suyu's current stage, additional flat strength and agility would be ideal. At this point, fancy special attributes were less valuable than straightforward stat increases. High attack power and fast attack speed meant invincibility in the early game. Low-level monsters had few complex mechanics. Overwhelming raw stats were enough to crush them effortlessly. A moment later, Suyu channeled his remaining 19 skill points into basic archery. You consumed 19 skill points. Basic archery level increased. Current level, 20. LV point 20 basic archery normal grade. Passive skill. Attack speed plus 55, movement speed plus 55, attack range plus 50. LV point 20 trait. Strength plus 50, agility plus 50, strength plus 5, agility plus 5. Nice. Alongside fixed stat boosts, there are precious percentage modifiers. A smile flickered across Suyu's eyes. Right now, these percentage bonuses did not offer much benefit compared to the flat plus 50 stats. Still, percentage multipliers were incredibly valuable. In the mid and late game, they would grant massive attribute gains. After maxing basic archery to level 20, Suyu's physical attack, attack speed, and movement speed jumped to another tier. Physical attack, 242, attack speed, 2.15, movement speed, 7.46. With my current physical attack and attack speed, my sustained damage from basic attacks nears 500 per hit even without critical hits or weak point strikes. Suyu was astonished by how rapidly his power grew. He had only logged into Eternal Life for less than an hour, yet his stats were already absurdly inhuman. As his strength continued rising, his leveling and farming efficiency would keep accelerating. This meant his power growth would only speed up further. Only now did Suyu truly grasp how terrifying his Super God tier talent was. After killing 20 more Swift Hares, I can head to hunt level 3 Swift Cat Demons. Suyu checked his EXP progress bar. He had discovered the level 3 monster zone several minutes earlier. Just like before, he chose not to rush in, prioritizing farming more skill points. He was still in the early growth phase and needed to accumulate skill points to strengthen himself rapidly. Otherwise, even if he found the level 5 dungeon once he hit level 5, he might lack the strength to clear it alone. Even normal difficulty dungeons were not meant for solo players. Moreover, Suyu aimed for far more than simply clearing normal difficulty dungeons by himself. Dungeons within the beginner village had 4 difficulty tiers, ascending from low to high: normal, hard, nightmare, and hell. Normal difficulty could be attempted 3 times each day. Hard difficulty reset once daily. Nightmare was available once every 3 days, and hell once weekly. Cooldowns for the 4 difficulties operated independently of one another. Naturally, Suyu planned to claim the first clear reward for every difficulty tier, all through solo play. First-time dungeon clears awarded extra rewards. Furthermore, the fewer players in the clearing party, the richer the rewards each participant received. Suyu would never pass up this chance to boost his strength dramatically. A few minutes later, golden light flashed over Suyu's body. Congratulations! You have reached level 3. All attributes plus 1, free attribute points plus 5, skill points plus 5. Without hesitation, Suyu allocated all 5 newly gained free attribute points into agility. He had no shortage of attack power right now. Boosting attack speed and movement speed was the optimal way to maximize his farming efficiency. After reaching level 3, Suyu ignored the gale hares all around him and raced straight toward the level 3 wild zone. Before long, the figure of a Gale Cat Demon entered his sight. LV. 3 Gale Cat Demon Common Grade, HP, 500 500ths, Physical Attack, 60, Magic Attack, 60, Physical Defense, 25, Magic Defense, 12, Skills, Pounce Bite, Windblade. Whoosh. Without hesitation, Suyu loosed a soul-severing arrow. 577. Successfully slain LV.3 Gale Cat Demon Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 30, Skill Point plus 1. Unsurprisingly, the Gale Cat Demon was instantly felled by a single arrow. Even without aiming deliberately at its weak points, it could not withstand such devastating damage. Leveling from 3 to 4 requires 6,000 EXP. Each Gale Cat Demon grants 30 EXP. That means I can farm 200 skill points at level 3. Suyu silently calculated in his mind. 200 skill points, plus the remaining 25 he already possessed, made a total of 225 skill points. These 225 points would only be enough to unlock one trait, either the level 20 trait for Soul Severing Arrow or the level 10 trait for Mighty Arrow. No rush to decide. Let's get to level 4 first, Suyu quickly resolved. Both Soul Severing Arrow and Mighty Arrow boosted damage. His current firepower was more than enough to deal with level 3 Gale Cat Demons, so there was no urgency to make his choice. Suyu pressed deeper into the Gale Plains. Successfully slain LV.3 Gale Cat Demon Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 30, Copper coins plus 15, skill point plus 1. Successfully slain LV.3 Gale Cat Demon Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 30, skill point plus 1. One after another, the Gale Cat demons perished beneath his arrows before they even caught sight of him. More than half an hour later, a golden light flashed around Suyu once again. Congratulations! You have reached level 4. All stats plus 1, free stat points plus 5, skill points plus 5. Leveling keeps getting smoother. Suyu nodded in satisfaction. As Suyu's level rose, he needed to defeat more monsters to advance each time. Yet the time he spent on each level did not widen significantly. The primary reason was his vastly improved movement speed, which drastically boosted his efficiency in locating monsters. Time to upgrade my skills, then head to the level 4 wild zone to grind levels. Anticipation glinted in Suyu's eyes. First unlock Soul Severing Arrow's level 20 trait, then pour all leftover skill points into Mighty Arrow. In Suyu's opinion, raising Soul Severing Arrow yielded more consistent damage. Mighty Arrow only increased critical rate. After accounting for monsters' critical resistance, damage would remain unstable unless he achieved a 100 critical rate. To maximize farming efficiency, he aimed to guarantee a one-shot kill against every foe under any circumstance. Suyu focused his mind, opened his skill panel, and began allocating points. You consumed 10 skill points. Soul Severing Arrow level increased. Current level, 11. You consumed 19 skill points. Soul Severing Arrow level increased. Current level, 20. LV. 20 Soul Severing Arrow Common Grade, active skill. Fire a powerful arrow that deals 400 plus 215 physical attack damage to the target. Costs 48 mana, 3.5 second cooldown. LV.20 trait. Every time you cast Soul Severing Arrow, you fire an additional powerful arrow. The damage of Soul Severing Arrow has jumped to a whole new tier. A flicker of delight crossed Suyu's gaze. At level 20, the skill's base damage had doubled, and its percentage damage modifier had also risen considerably. With Suyu's current 246 attack power, overall damage had increased by roughly 50. But the level 20 trait transformed Soul Severing Arrow from 1 arrow into 2. This boost was enormous, effectively doubling his damage output. In other words, one cast of Soul Severing Arrow now dealt damage equivalent to 3 previous casts, a twofold total increase. The improvement far exceeded Suyu's expectations. A single Soul Severing Arrow can now deal around 1,800 damage. With this, I should be able to instantly kill even level 5 or level 6 monsters. Suyu smiled broadly. He was extremely pleased with Soul Severing Arrow's level 20 trait. It also revealed a potential evolutionary path for the skill. Perhaps one day, Soul Severing Arrow would unleash hundreds, even thousands of arrows in a single cast. At that point, even a common grade skill like Soul Severing Arrow could wield world-shattering power. Infinite Growth truly deserves its status as a super god tier talent. It turns mediocre skills into extraordinary ones. Suyu marveled inwardly. Normally, common grade skills such as Soul Severing Arrow capped out at level 10. Yet the Infinite Growth talent shattered the limits set by the rules, granting it boundless potential. Since Soul Severing Arrow improved so dramatically, I'll allocate the 5 newly obtained free stat points entirely to agility, Suyu thought to himself. Suyu had initially worried that rising monster levels and higher HP pools would require him to boost his attack power further. Now, however, those concerns faded. At least for the near future, his attack output was more than sufficient. After assigning all 5 free stat points to agility, Suyu turned his attention back to the skill panel. I still have 85 skill points left. Dump them all into Mighty Arrow, then hurry to grind in the level 4 wild zone. You consumed 3 skill points. Mighty Arrow level increased. Current level, 2. You consumed 21 skill points. Mighty Arrow level increased. Current level, 8. LV.8 Mighty Arrow Bronze Grade, passive skill. Increases your critical rate by 40. Not bad. That's an extra 35 critical rate. Suyu nodded contentedly. Nearly all common grade monsters within the starting village possessed 0 critical resistance. A 40 critical rate meant he would trigger a critical strike roughly once every 3 or 4 shots. This would provide a solid boost to his sustained damage output. Farm another 50 skill points, and I can unlock Mighty Arrow's level 10 trait. My strength should jump another notch then. The level 10 trait of a bronze grade skill ought to be worthwhile. Back to leveling. Suyu gazed toward the level 4 wild zone, filled with eager anticipation. A few minutes later, Suyu arrived at the level 4 wild zone without incident. A stocky gale hound, as large as a young calf, appeared within his view. LV.4 Galehound Common Grade, HP, 800 800ths, Physical Attack, 80, Magic Attack, 80, Physical Defense, 35, Magic Defense, 17, Skills, Pounce Bite, Accelerate, Wind Blade Woof. Before Suyu could strike, the calf-sized Galehound hundreds of meters away charged straight toward him. Sharp nose, spotting me from so far off. But that won't save you from being one shot. The corners of Suyu's mouth tugged upward. Soul-severing arrow. The next instant, 2 green arrows tore through the air. 892. 1784. Critical hit. Successfully slain LV.4 Galehound Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 40, Copper Coins plus 20, Skill Point plus 1. Leveling from 4 to 5 requires 10,000 EXP. Each Galehound gives 40 EXP. That means I can farm 250 skill points at level 4. Suyu glanced at his EXP bar and quickly reached the conclusion. I still need 54 more skill points to raise Mighty Arrow to level 10. Keep grinding. Suyu brimmed with motivation. As Suyu ventured deeper, 2 more Galehounds soon came into sight. The moment Suyu spotted them, the 2 beasts detected him as well. Woof! Woof! The pair of Galehounds sprinted toward him. These hounds are so noisy. Can't they let me kill them quietly? Suyu grumbled silently. Soul-severing arrow. 2 green arrows streaked forward. 892. 893. Successfully slain LV.4 Galehound Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 40, Skill Point plus 1. Right after, blue mana arrows began forming in Suyu's grasp. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 1 blue arrow after another nearly merged into a straight line. 424. Critical hit 212. 422. Weak point strike successfully slain LV.4 Galehound Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 40, Copper Coins plus 20, Skill Point plus 1. I wish I had an area of effect skill, Suyu sighed. Soul-severing arrow could fire 2 arrows at once. Yet the 2 projectiles traveled along nearly identical trajectories and could not hit separate targets. When facing multiple monsters, Suyu was forced to land finishing blows with basic attacks. Though his basic attacks dealt respectable damage, repeated use rapidly drained his stamina. Stamina was a hidden stat that did not appear on the character panel. Once stamina hit 0, his combat performance would degrade severely. It could only be restored through rest and eating. With an AoE skill, Suyu could eliminate groups of monsters with a single ability, drastically cutting stamina consumption. Suyu steadied his breathing and continued deeper into the Gale Plains. Several minutes passed. Suyu halted his steps. Huh? I didn't expect to find a dungeon entrance this quickly. Suyu stared at the blue vortex not far away, astonishment spreading across his face. The Gale Plains stretched across a vast territory. Normally, locating 3 randomly spawned dungeon entrances within its bounds was no simple task. Yet he had barely stepped into the level 4 wild zone when he stumbled upon one. Suyu hurried forward, and the dungeon information materialized before his eyes. Goblin Plains Dungeon, Dungeon Level, 5, Player Limit, 1-5, Entry Level Requirement, 5-8. Perfect, a level 5 dungeon. Once I finish farming Galehounds and hit level 5, I can run this place, Suyu rejoiced. Back to leveling. Suyu could scarcely wait to reach level 5 and return to clear the dungeon. Monster density inside dungeons far exceeded the open wilderness. For Suyu, dungeons were prime grounds to earn EXP and skill points. Furthermore, dungeons held elite monsters and bosses, which possessed a high chance of dropping equipment upon defeat. While the game Eternal stated regular wild monsters could also drop gear, the probability was vanishingly low. Suyu had slain hundreds of monsters on his journey so far without obtaining even the most basic white-tier equipment. He had long abandoned hope of looting gear from ordinary monsters. He needed to clear dungeons as soon as possible. Perhaps after a few dungeon runs, he could assemble a proper set of equipment. Right now, the only weapon he owned was a worn beginner's longbow, an embarrassingly meager loadout. Suyu marked his current position on the minimap, then turned and marched deeper into the Gale Plains without a backward glance. His top priority was reaching level 5 so he could return to tackle the dungeon. Successfully slain LV.4 Galehound Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 40, Copper Coins plus 20, Skill Point plus 1. Successfully slain LV.4 Galehound Common Grade. Gained EXP plus 40, Skill Point plus 1. Continuous system notifications echoed in Suyu's ears as his EXP bar and skill point count climbed steadily. Before long, he accumulated enough skill points. Finally, I can bring Mighty Arrow up to level 10. Delight flashed across Suyu's eyes. You consumed 24 skill points. Mighty Arrow level increased. Current level, 9. You consumed 27 skill points. Mighty Arrow level increased. Current level, 10. LV point 10 Mighty Arrow Bronze Grade, passive skill. Increases your critical rate by 50. LV point 10 trait, strength plus 150, critical damage plus 25. Excellent. My damage potential has grown even more terrifying. Suyu nodded with satisfaction. Mighty Arrow's level 10 trait granted Suyu an extra 150 strength. His physical attack power now stood at an intimidating 562. Coupled with his 225 critical damage bonus, a critical basic attack alone could easily deal over 1,000 damage. If Soul's Severing Arrow triggered a critical strike, the damage would grow even more staggering, edging close to 5-digit figures. I feel far more confident about clearing the dungeon solo now. Confidence welled up in Suyu's gaze. If his current power was insufficient to solo the dungeon, not even a full 5-player party would stand a chance of conquering it. Suyu quickly refocused and pushed deeper into the Gale Plains, burning with eagerness to reach level 5. Roughly 20 minutes later, after Suyu instantly eliminated a distant Gale Hound with Soul Severing Arrow, a golden light burst forth around him. Congratulations! You have reached level 5. All stats plus 1, free stat points plus 5, skill points plus 5. Suyu smoothly allocated the 5 newly earned free stat points entirely to agility. This granted minor increases to both his attack speed and movement speed. Finally time to tackle the dungeon. Joy flickered in Suyu's eyes. To reach level 5 and unlock the dungeon as quickly as possible, Suyu had not paused for a single moment, sprinting constantly to search for monsters. That relentless pace allowed him to defeat nearly 100 Gale Hounds in under 20 minutes and advance to level 5. Constant running drained massive amounts of stamina, yet the level-up light restored his condition to peak, sweeping away all traces of exhaustion. Just as Suyu prepared to head for the dungeon, a system announcement chimed beside his ear. Starting Village announcement. Player Emperor is the first to reach level 5. The public chat channel and level ranking for Starting Village 9528 have officially opened. As the first player to reach level 5 in Starting Village 9528, you receive a reward. Class-specific Silver Grade Skill Book ×1, Reputation plus 10. A Silver Grade Skill Book. This reward looks promising. A smile tugged at Suyu's lips. He had not expected an extra reward for being the first player to hit level 5 in the Starting Village. The Silver Grade Skill Book was the highest tier skill book he had encountered so far, making it quite valuable. As for the 10 reputation points, Suyu remained unsure of their purpose and set the thought aside for now. Still, he suspected reputation was a precious resource. There were 5,000 players in this Starting Village, yet only the first to reach level 5 obtained these 10 points. Rarity alone indicated its worth would not be low. Without hesitation, Suyu opened his backpack and immediately used the Silver Grade class skill book. Congratulations! You have learned the Silver Grade skill, Lightning Arrow. I've gotten exactly what I needed, a multi-target skill. Suyu nodded happily. Lightning Arrow would drastically boost his dungeon farming efficiency. Dungeons featured densely packed monsters, the perfect environment for area skills to shine. In the open wilderness, monster populations were sparse. Groups of 3 or 4 monsters were uncommon, leaving little room for AoE abilities to excel. Lightning Arrow could chain to a maximum of 12 targets after the initial hit, striking 13 foes in total. Encountering 13 clustered monsters out in the wild was extremely rare. Suyu had never come across such a large group during his time leveling. The biggest packs he had seen held only 3 monsters. Dungeons were a different story. Clusters of over a dozen monsters were commonplace. This was why players usually formed parties to venture into dungeons. High monster density meant certain defeat if swarmed alone. Solo dungeon clears were only feasible for players whose strength vastly outmatched the monsters. I'll test out the level ranking and public chat channel first, then head for the dungeon. Suyu made up his mind and pulled open the level ranking. Starting Village 9528 level ranking. First place. Emperor, level 5. Second place. Meng the Fierce, level 3. Third place. Wind Rises, level 2. Fourth place. Upright Spirit, level 2. 10th place. Wanderer Returning, level 2. The second place player is already level 3. I can't underestimate the competition, Suyu mused quietly. Only roughly 2 hours had passed since players logged into Eternal. Reaching level 3 in that time frame required strength enough to fight level 2 Gale Hares one-on-one. Level 2 Gale Hares were far stronger than level 1 Giant Ear Hares. They boasted 300 HP, 45 attack power, and solid defenses. Ordinary players could not defeat them even after reaching level 2. If players hunted gale hares in parties, split EXP would make hitting level 3 within this window nearly impossible. Out of 5,000 players in a single starting village, someone already possessed the power to solo gale hares. Hundreds of millions of players worldwide logged into Eternal. It was easy to imagine just how many talented competitors existed. I wonder if any players in the other novice villages have already reached level 5, Suyu thought silently. Though Suyu possessed a transcendent grade talent, it was a growth-type talent, so its advantages were not prominent in the early stages. Only once he accumulated enough skill points and raised numerous skills to levels beyond ordinary people's imagination would he gain an overwhelming edge. In the early game, those with God-grade talents would likely be nearly as strong as him. Even some low-grade talents could grant absolute advantages at the start. Take a talent that dealt a fixed 10,000 damage with every basic attack, for instance. Anyone who owned such a talent would reign supreme in the early phase, but it would become utterly useless in the late game, unable to break through other players' shields at all. Suyu believed that even if there were players stronger than him early on, he would stand unrivaled in the later stages. He had absolute faith in his transcendent grade talent, infinite growth. With this thought, Suyu immediately closed the level leaderboard. No one in Novice Village 9528 could match him right now. There was little point in keeping it open. Afterwards, he pulled up the public chat channel for Novice Village 9528. As soon as the chat window opened, a bold red pinned announcement greeted him. The system notice triggered when Suyu hit level 5. Beneath the pinned post, the chat feed scrolled non-stop with new messages. Whoa, what's up with Sovereign You? How did he hit level 5 so fast? A silver grade skill. I'm so jealous. I only have the 2 basic skills my class starts with. What bad luck. What tier of talent do you think Sovereign You has? My guess is at least Emperor grade. Maybe even Sovereign grade isn't out of the question. It's hard to say. Maybe his talent massively boosts experience from killing monsters. That would explain why he leveled faster than Wang Ming. Right, Wang Ming genuinely has a king grade talent. Hundreds of us saw it with our own eyes in the Novice Square. We'll have to wait and see. If Sovereign You keeps pulling ahead in levels, his talent must be stronger than Wang Ming's. Suyu skimmed the chat for a while, finding nothing but meaningless idle chatter, then shut the channel down. It's time to tackle the Goblin Plains dungeon. A flicker of anticipation crossed Suyu's eyes, and he raced straight toward the dungeon entrance. To Suyu, dungeons were massive treasure troves. Inside, aside from standard experience, equipment, items, and materials, he could rapidly earn large quantities of skill points. That meant his strength would surge forward at a rapid pace. Meanwhile, at the boundary between level 2 and level 3 monster zones in Novice Village 9528, a burly middle-aged man sat on the ground resting, waiting for his health and mana to slowly regenerate. What kind of monster is this Sovereign You? How did he reach level 5 so quickly? With that level, he could easily hunt swift cat demons. I have a king grade talent that deals double damage to targets no more than 3 levels above me, yet I can barely kill a single swift cat demon. That means Sovereign You either boasts extraordinary combat skill, an extremely high tier talent, or both. A chill ran down Wang Ming's spine as he thought about it. He had once thought awakening a king grade talent made him a top tier player on a global scale. He never imagined he would encounter someone far more terrifying within this small novice village alone. It forced him to curb his growing arrogance. After all, Eternal Life was no ordinary virtual game from Blue Star. Every player lost real lifespan upon death. Once their lifespan hit 0, they died for good. One could never be too cautious inside Eternal Life. I'll stick to hunting swift rabbits first. Once I hit level 4 and raise my skill levels further, I can try challenging swift cat demons, Wang Ming resolved inwardly. Though he was already level 3, killing level 2 swift rabbits only granted half the usual experience. Even so, it was far more efficient than recklessly fighting swift cat demons. At his current strength, he needed to be at full health to barely slay one swift cat demon. One careless mistake, and he would be killed in retaliation. Wang Ming decided hunting swift rabbits suited him best. Whoever wanted to fight swift cat demons could go ahead. His own life mattered more. Several minutes later, Suyu arrived smoothly at the entrance to the Goblin Plains dungeon. Finally time to clear the dungeon. Anticipation shone in Suyu's gaze. From the basic game knowledge he possessed, Novice Village dungeons were beginner benefits provided by Eternal Life to all players. Every dungeon within Novice Villages could be entered free of charge, limited only by clear attempts. Once players left the Novice Village, accessing dungeons outside would consume attempts plus additional requirements. Some requirements were simple, merely costing gold coins. Others were extremely harsh, demanding lifespan sacrifices or special dungeon entry tickets. Yet all novice village dungeons came with zero extra costs beyond attempt limits, pure beginner welfare for every player. Before entering, there's still one thing I need to do. Suyu turned his gaze to his skill bar. He still held 205 skill points, exactly enough to raise Lightning Arrow to level 10 and unlock its first trait. In Suyu's opinion, this area of effect skill would be invaluable for clearing the upcoming dungeon. You spend 4 skill points. Lightning Arrow level up. Current level, 2. You spend 8 skill points. Lightning Arrow level up. Current level, 3. You spend 36 skill points. Lightning Arrow level up. Current level, 10. LV.10 Lightning Arrow Silver Grade. Active skill. Fire a lightning arrow that deals 370 plus 165 physical attack lightning damage to the target, with a chance to inflict paralysis. Upon hitting a target, the bolt can jump between up to 12 targets. Each target can only receive damage once. Subsequent damage decreases by 5 per jump. Cost, 95 mana. Cooldown, 13 seconds. LV.10 trait. If lightning arrow lands the killing blow on an enemy, fully refund all mana consumed for the skill and refund 50 of its cooldown. Perfect. Suyu nodded in satisfaction. The LV.10 trait for lightning arrow solved his sustainability issues and drastically boosted his mob clearing efficiency. Those 180 skill points were well spent, worth every single one. With Suyu's current attack power, monsters of equal level stood no chance against him and would be instantly slain. That meant he could continuously trigger Lightning Arrow's trait. He could cast the skill without mana cost and cut its cooldown by half. As an area of effect skill, Lightning Arrow had high mana consumption and a far longer cooldown than regular skills. Having its cooldown made everything far more comfortable. Lightning Arrow's base cooldown stood at 13 seconds. After the 50 refund, its effective cooldown dropped to merely 6.5 seconds. That was barely slower than LV.1 Soul-Seeking Arrow. For Suyu, casting Lightning Arrow felt much like ordinary archers using Soul-Seeking Arrow. Better yet, he paid no mana price. Unlike regular archers forced to ration mana when using Soul-Seeking Arrow to avoid running dry. Time to enter the dungeon. Eagerness surged within Suyu. He could not wait to test Lightning Arrow's power. Suyu stepped forward and slowly stretched out his hand, touching the dungeon portal in front of him. Moments later, for dungeon difficulty options appeared before his eyes. Only normal difficulty was selectable. The other 3 remained grayed out. Players had to clear a difficulty to unlock the next tier. Without hesitation, Suyu selected normal difficulty. A beam of white light descended and wrapped around him. In the blink of an eye, Suyu vanished from the spot. Suyu's vision turned dark, and dizziness washed over him. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself standing on a grassy plain. The landscape looked nearly identical to the Swift Plains. If not for the group of green-skinned monsters wielding spiked clubs in the distance, he would have thought the teleportation had failed. He cast his innate detect skill and viewed the green creature's stats. LV.5 Goblin Warrior Normal Grade. Health, 1200/1200. Physical Attack, 120. Physical Defense, 50. Magical Defense, 30. Skill, Heavy Strike. Decent stats, noticeably stronger than wild monsters of the same level, Suyu quickly judged. At the border between level 4 and level 5 monster zones of the Swift Plains, he had seen level 5 wild monsters, Swift Wolves. While Swift Wolves outmatched level 4 Swift Hounds, they were still weaker than these level 5 Goblin Warriors. And these were merely normal dungeon mobs. Hell difficulty dungeon monsters would easily overwhelm groups of equal level wild monsters. Suyu gripped his novice longbow and strode toward the nearest Goblin Warrior. He was still inside the safe zone, some distance away from the goblins. Even with attack range surpassing ordinary archers of his level, he could not strike them yet. As Suyu closed in on the pack of Goblin Warriors, they spotted him. 8 or 9 snarling goblins wielding spiked clubs charged toward him as one. Humph. What can they do even if they see me? A cold smirk tugged at Suyu's lips. The Goblin Warriors lacked the movement speed to close the distance to him. As Suyu and the goblins advanced toward each other, the pack soon entered his attack range. Suyu focused his mind, drawing his longbow into a full moon. A lightning-tipped arrow materialized in his grasp, electric sparks dancing along its shaft. Whoosh! The lightning arrow shot forward, a streak of violet light cutting through the air. Bang! 2,500. Weak point hit. The arrow struck the lead goblin square in the head, bursting its skull open and turning it into a headless corpse instantly. Crackle! An electric arc leapt from its corpse and struck the next goblin precisely. Bang! 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 In an instant, the bouncing lightning washed over every remaining goblin. 1,250, 2,671. Critical hit 1125. Devastating damage instantly wiped out 5 more goblin warriors, leaving only 3 badly wounded, smoking survivors. Suyu followed up with 3 basic attacks to finish off the remaining injured goblins. His combat log flickered wildly. Successfully slain LV. 5 goblin warrior normal grade. Gained plus 60 experience, plus 50 copper coins, plus 1 skill point. Successfully slain LV.5 goblin warrior normal grade. Gained plus 60 experience, plus 1 skill point. Excellent. Lightning arrow truly shines as an area attack. One shot eliminates most of the pack. This feels incredible, Suyu nodded with satisfaction. Though damage diminished with each jump, paired with his current 50 critical hit chance, Lightning Arrow still unleashed terrifying power. His mob-clearing speed vastly outstripped his earlier runs hunting wild monsters with Soul-Seeking Arrow. It seems dungeon monsters grant slightly more experience and copper coins than equivalent wild monsters, Suyu mused. When he was level 4, killing level 4 wild monsters awarded 40 experience points. Logically, defeating level 5 wild monsters at level 5 should grant 50 experience points. These level 5 dungeon monsters rewarded 60 experience, 20 more than regular wild mobs. That meant he would earn fewer skill points during his level 5 grind than he initially anticipated. Leveling from 5 to 6 required 20,000 experience points in total. He had originally expected to gain roughly 400 skill points at level 5. If he farmed dungeons, however, that number would be far lower. But this is hardly a major issue. Suyu quickly sorted out his line of thinking. Earlier, his strength and skill levels had been low. Minor increases in skill points led to massive power jumps. Focusing solely on same-level monsters maximized skill point income and let him grow quickly. Now that his strength was considerable, he no longer needed to be so meticulous. He could push rapidly toward level 10. After hitting level 10, players could not gain further levels until completing their class advancement. He could spend this window slaying level 10 monsters non-stop to harvest massive skill points and skyrocket his power. My immediate goal is to claim first clear rewards for all 4 difficulties of the level 5 dungeon. Suyu set his sights firmly. There were 3 dungeons accessible to all novice villages globally. Competing for first clear rewards meant competing against every player across the planet. It would not be easy. Even if the odds of awakening a god-grade talent stood at merely 1 in hundreds of millions, dozens of players worldwide would possess such talents. Suyu dared not guarantee he was the strongest player globally right now. While infinite growth was a transcendent grade talent, it remained growth-oriented. It required time to unlock its true potential. His biggest advantage for the moment might simply be that he had discovered and entered the level 5 dungeon ahead of others. Dungeon entrances spawned randomly inside every novice village. Weaker players would gain nothing even if they found an entrance. Stronger rivals might not have located their dungeon entrance yet. Only those blessed with both strength and luck could seize the first clear rewards. With this thought, Suyu quickened his pace and charged straight ahead. He was determined to win the 4 first clear rewards for the level 5 dungeon. As for the level 7 and level 10 dungeons, that would depend on his luck later. If he found their entrances early enough, those rewards would also belong to him. 30 seconds of steady running later, Suyu spotted the second group of goblin warriors. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Suyu opened with Lightning Arrow, then finished off the wounded survivors with basic attacks. In under 3 seconds, all 10 goblins lay charred on the ground. Keep going. Suyu adjusted his breathing briefly and pressed onward. He needed to race against time to secure the dungeon first clear rewards. Another 30 seconds passed, and a third pack of goblin warriors came into view. Once more, Suyu cleared the entire group in less than 3 seconds, claiming another haul of experience, copper coins, and skill points. It looks like new goblin spawns appear roughly every 200 meters. I wonder how many groups populate this dungeon, Suyu pondered silently. With 140 agility plus a 55 movement speed bonus, Suyu's base movement speed reached 7.64 meters per second. This was his panel movement speed, equivalent to an average running pace of roughly 10 kilometers per hour. Sustaining that pace over 10 kilometers would drain massive stamina. Of course, Suyu could reach far higher speeds in short bursts. To avoid excessive stamina consumption, however, he maintained roughly 80 of his listed movement speed, around 6 meters per second. Traveling for 30 seconds at that speed covered approximately 200 meters. For ordinary players with single-digit agility values, covering 200 meters would take a minimum of 1 minute. Even players with God-grade talents might lack advantages in movement speed. In other words, purely relying on the advantage of movement speed, so you could save a great deal of time compared to other players. The more waves of Goblin Warriors spawned, the greater Su Yu's advantage, and the higher his chances of securing the first dungeon clear. Soon, more than 10 minutes passed. After slaying the last wounded Goblin Warrior before him, a notification echoed inside Su Yu's mind. You have successfully slain 300 Goblin Warriors. The dungeon has entered Phase 2. Elite Goblin Warriors will arrive on the battlefield in 30 seconds. Please wait where you stand. I didn't expect Phase 1 of this dungeon to require killing 300 Goblin Warriors. Most player parties probably won't even stand a chance of clearing the first stage, Su Yu thought to himself with a sigh. Every single Goblin Warrior here was far stronger than the average player. At this stage, most players lacked proper equipment and had not upgraded their skill levels, so they were generally no match for wild monsters of the same level. Even Su Yu only held an edge from his high skill levels. He still possessed nothing but starter gear. Drop rates in Eternal Life were abysmally low. Obtaining equipment from regular monsters was akin to winning the lottery. Only elite monsters offered a decent chance to drop gear, while bosses guaranteed equipment upon defeat. This was why dungeon runs were the most reliable way for players to acquire equipment. While we wait for the elite monsters of Phase 2 to spawn, I'll level up my skills first, Su Yu pondered silently. He had already raised Lightning Arrow to level 10, leaving him with 25 skill points. Slaying 300 Goblin Warriors just now had granted him another 300 skill points. With this amount, he could max out a common tier skill all the way to level 30. Should I upgrade basic archery first, or Soul Reaper Arrow? Su Yu fell into thought. He quickly reached a decision. He would prioritize Soul Reaper Arrow. Basic archery's passive boosted attack speed, movement speed, and attack range, and its current trait raised his strength and agility. While basic archery was versatile and excellent, he would soon face a boss. For boss fights, single-target active skills like Soul Reaper Arrow held far greater value. Leveling it would drastically boost his burst damage, an essential asset against powerful bosses. Having sorted out his priorities, Su Yu wasted no time and began upgrading Soul Reaper Arrow. He looked forward eagerly to its level 30 trait. You consumed 20 skill points. Soul Reaper Arrow level increased. Current level, 21. You consumed 29 skill points. Soul Reaper Arrow level increased. Current level, 30. I didn't expect Soul Reaper Arrow's level 30 trait to grant a shield, Su Yu said in pleasant surprise. Su Yu already boasted formidable offensive power, yet his survivability was comparable to ordinary players. Up until now, he had relied on overwhelming damage and refined combat techniques to crush regular monsters before they could land a single blow on him. Survivability remained his biggest weakness. If he encountered a ranged mage-type boss with strong durability, he would be in serious danger, especially if the boss wielded wide-area skills. With less than 300 HP, he could not withstand a single hit. But now, that flaw in his survivability had finally been patched. With Soul Reaper Arrow's current stats, he could deal roughly 2,000 damage without critical strikes, and nearly 4,000 damage from the twin arrows. That meant one cast of Soul Reaper Arrow would grant him a shield absorbing around 4,000 damage. If both arrows landed critical hits, the shield strength would approach 10,000 points. Though the shield only lasted 30 seconds, Soul Reaper Arrow refunded its mana cost on kills, so Su Yu would never struggle to maintain his shield. Soul Reaper Arrow's base cooldown stood at merely 3 seconds. As long as the shield was not broken within that window, he could refresh it continuously. The level 30 trait of Soul Reaper Arrow filled Su Yu with confidence. He no longer feared being instantly eliminated out of nowhere. Even though Soul Reaper Arrow is only a common tier skill, its potential is practically boundless, Su Yu smiled broadly. According to the rules of Eternal Life, common tier skills could normally only reach level 10. Thanks to his infinite growth talent, Soul Reaper Arrow broke this restriction, unlocking endless possibilities. Judging from the traits Soul Reaper Arrow had unlocked so far, Su Yu believed it might outperform even higher tier skills. I still have 80 skill points left. I'll raise Mana Arrow to level 10, Su Yu muttered quietly. He had avoided upgrading Mana Arrow earlier, fearing higher skill levels would raise its mana cost and hinder his sustainability. Now, however, such worries were gone. Besides Mana Arrow, Su Yu only possessed 2 other active skills, Soul Reaper Arrow and Lightning Arrow. Both skills featured mana refunds upon securing kills, meaning they could be cast nearly free of charge in most situations. If Mana Arrow was his sole ability that consumed mana, he could easily afford its cost, even if it grew higher. If necessary, he could simply consume mana recovery potions. Even basic mana recovery potions restored 10 mana per second, more than enough for his needs. With that thought, Suyu did not hesitate any longer and started upgrading Mana Arrow. You consumed 1 skill point. Mana Arrow level increased. Current level, 2. You consumed 9 skill points. Mana Arrow level increased. Current level, 10. Huh? Mana Arrow's level 10 trait boosts Spirit. Suyu looked confused. He had assumed the trait would enhance damage output, not raise Spirit. Still, he quickly accepted the outcome. A Spirit boost suited Mana Arrow well. Without sufficient mana reserves, one could not freely spam the skill. While it did not improve damage, an extra 100 Spirit was extremely practical. Spirit raised maximum mana regeneration speed, and magic defense, further bolstering Suyu's survivability. 100 Spirit translated to 100 magic defense. At level 5, even top-tier tanks might not possess that much magic defense. My maximum mana has surged to 2,260. I'll never have to worry about running low on mana again. Suyu nodded in satisfaction. With his current mana cap, he could sustain intense battles even without triggering the mana refund effects from Soul Reaper Arrow and Lightning Arrow. I can say I barely have any weaknesses now. If there is one flaw, it's my low maximum HP. Without an active shield, I risk being instantly taken out by a surprise attack. Suyu was quite satisfied with his current stats. After all, he had only logged into Eternal Life for a little over 2 hours. He could not demand perfection of himself. Once he learned more skills in the future, the problem of low maximum HP would soon be resolved. 30 seconds of countdown quietly ticked away. 3 streaks of white light descended from the sky. As the light faded, 3 green-skinned monsters, several times larger than ordinary goblin warriors, appeared within Suyu's sight. LV.5 Elite Goblin Warrior Elite Tier. HP, 6,000/6,000. Physical Attack, 180. Physical Defense, 100. Magic Defense, 60. Skills, Heavy Strike, Berserk, truly worthy of being elite monsters. Their HP is 5 times that of regular ones. Still, these elite goblin warriors are nothing special to me. I can handle them without any pressure. Suyu shook his head with a grin. An elite goblin warrior with 6,000 HP and 100 physical defense posed a massive threat to ordinary players. Many players at level 5 could not even break through their defenses. For Suyu, however, they were only marginally stronger than regular goblin warriors. As long as his luck held, a single Soul Reaper arrow could eliminate one elite enemy. The difference was negligible. Roar! Roar! The moment they spawned inside the dungeon, the 3 elite goblin warriors let out shrill cries and charged straight towards Suyu, wielding massive iron maces. Foolish, Suyu let out a cold snort. He drew his starter longbow to full draw, and a green Soul Reaper arrow materialized. Whoosh! The green Soul Reaper arrow cut through the air. Immediately after, a translucent second Soul Reaper arrow emerged, following the exact same trajectory. Boom! Boom! 1992. 4,610. Critical strike in an instant. Both green arrows slammed into the leading elite goblin warrior's head. Combined damage exceeding 6,000 points instantly slew it. Elite monsters possessed partial immunity to critical weak point damage. Otherwise, Suyu's single Soul Reaper arrow would have dealt upwards of 10,000 damage. For a level 5 player, such numbers were almost inconceivable. Thud! The elite goblin's heavy corpse crashed onto the ground from momentum. A wisp of white light floated up, and the familiar system notification reached Suyu's ears. Successfully slain LV.5 Elite Goblin Warrior Elite Tier. Gained plus 300 experience, plus 250 copper coins, plus 1 skill point. Great, loot dropped at last. I wonder if it's equipment or a consumable item, Suyu nodded happily. Keep going. Let's see if the other 2 elite goblin warriors also drop loot. In less than 3 seconds, Suyu eliminated the remaining 2 elite goblin warriors. The fight dragged on slightly because his luck turned poor against the third target. Neither Soul Reaper arrow triggered a critical strike, forcing him to follow up with several basic attacks to finish it off. You have successfully slain 3 elite goblin warriors. The dungeon has entered Phase 3. The final boss, Goblin High Priest, will arrive on the battlefield in 30 seconds. Please wait where you stand. The final boss won't spawn for another 30 seconds. No rush. Let me check what's inside those 3 loot orbs first. A smile spread across Suyu's face. The 3 elite goblin warriors each left behind a loot orb, achieving a 100 drop rate. It far exceeded Suyu's expectations. He had thought securing 1 orb would be good fortune, and 2 would be an incredible surprise. To get 3 altogether felt like winning a lottery. Suyu walked toward the nearest orb. He reached out and touched it. The light dispersed, and a pair of boots fell onto the ground. Boots. Suyu's eyes lit up. Footwear boosted movement speed, which would cut down dungeon clearing time in the future. It was a fantastic drop. He quickly picked up the boots and examined their stats. Swift Stride Boots Iron Tier, plus 100 HP, plus 5 physical defense, plus 20 movement speed. Level requirement, 5. Excellent, a full 20 movement speed boost. Without hesitation, Suyu swapped out his plain, attribute-free starter cloth shoes for the Iron Tier Swift Stride Boots. Instantly, he felt lighter on his feet, and his ability to withstand blows improved slightly. I wonder what surprises the other 2 orbs hold. Suyu thought as he headed toward the next orb. Shortly after, Suyu reached the second loot orb. When he touched it, a dark belt appeared before him. Iron Belt Iron Tier, plus 100 HP, plus 5 physical defense, plus 5 magic defense, plus 5 constitution. Level requirement, 5. It barely improves my combat power, but it's still decent overall, Suyu murmured. The Iron Belt mainly raised defensive attributes, which meant little to Suyu. After all, a single Soul Reaper arrow could grant him a shield worth thousands of damage absorption. The minor defensive bonuses from the belt paled in comparison. Still, statistically speaking, the belt offered him a meaningful upgrade. Before acquiring Swift Stride Boots, his maximum HP stood at only 280. The Iron Belt added a total of 200 HP. It was an increase of over 70%, so it was well worth equipping. After putting on the Iron Belt, Suyu hurried to the third loot orb. Soon, the contents within the orb came into view. Huh? It's not equipment. Suyu stared at the item in his hand in surprise. Basic Attack Elixir Iron Tier. Increases your attack by 20. Lasts 60 seconds. 5-minute cooldown on use. A percentage-based attack boost potion. These are likely far rarer than equipment, Suyu thought to himself. The Basic Attack Elixir granted a flat 20% attack increase. Though its effect only lasted a minute, it could serve as a powerful trump card in critical moments. In Suyu's opinion, percentage-based attack potions never lost their value as auxiliary items. They remained highly useful both in the early and late stages of the game. Suyu stowed the Basic Attack Elixir into his backpack with satisfaction, then glanced over his base stats. Level, LV.518900/20,000. Attributes, Strength 277, Constitution 19, Agility 140, Spirit 113. HP, 580. Mana, 2260. Physical Attack, 564. Physical Defense, 29. Magic Defense, 118. Attack Speed, 2.21. Movement Speed, 7.81. Critical Rate, 50. Critical Damage, 225. Perfect, Suyu nodded in approval. His base stats were staggeringly strong, nothing like a novice level 5 player. Only his base defensive values looked typical for a new player, yet thanks to his shield skill, his practical defensive capacity remained formidable. Closing the stat panel, Suyu stood quietly and awaited the spawn of the final boss. Moments later, a pillar of white light descended. A green-skinned monster holding an ornate staff and wearing a green mage's robe emerged. Though its frame was much smaller than the elite goblin warriors, the aura it exuded far surpassed them. LV.5 Goblin High Priest Iron Tier Boss. HP, 50,000/50,000. Magic Attack, 240. Physical Defense, 100. Magic Defense, 120. Skills, Fireball, Ice Arrow, Lightning Bolt, Magic Barrier, Summon Goblin Warrior. Wow, worthy of being an Iron Tier boss. Enormous HP pool, and 5 different skills. Suyu gained a clear understanding of how powerful Iron Tier bosses truly were. The Goblin High Priest's attack values were not drastically higher than the elite Goblin Warriors, yet its HP was more than 8 times greater. On top of that, it possessed 5 active skills, offensive spells, defensive abilities, and even a summoning skill to spawn minions. It vastly outmatched elite monsters. The Goblin High Priest could probably take on a dozen or 20 elite Goblin Warriors single-handedly. Whoosh. After reviewing the Goblin High Priest's stats, Suyu did not hesitate and opened combat with a Soul Reaper arrow. Boom. Boom. 4,610. Critical Strike, 4,610. Critical Strike, 2 massive red damage numbers floated above the Goblin High Priest's head. At the same time, 2 invisible layers of shield wrapped around Suyu, the effect granted by Soul Reaper arrow's level 30 trait. Nice, lucky roll. Suyu tilted his lips upward into a smirk. Both Soul Reaper arrows scored critical hits, instantly draining nearly 1/5 of the Goblin High Priest's HP. Meanwhile, Suyu gained a shield absorbing damage equivalent to roughly 1/5 of the High Priest's total health. It filled him with a strong sense of security. Even if every skill the Goblin High Priest cast was a targeted ability, he had nothing to fear now. His shield held nearly 10,000 hit points of absorption value. Even if he stood still and let the Goblin High Priest attack him non-stop, he would likely survive until the shield expired. Roar! The Goblin High Priest let out a shrill howl. Those 2 arrows had hurt terribly. Before it could even assess its surroundings, almost 20% of its health vanished. It felt utterly wronged as a monster. Whoosh! The staff in the Goblin High Priest's hand glimmered faintly, and a blue barrier materialized around its body. It activated its 4th skill, Magic Shield. Let's see whose shield holds up better, yours or mine. Suyu muttered quietly. Whoosh! Whoosh! Mana arrows swiftly coalesced in Suyu's hands. The 2 projectiles flew almost in a straight line, hurtling toward the Goblin High Priest. 515. 1,290. Critical hit. Basic attacks deal far too little damage. Nowhere near the power of Soul Reaper Arrow. Suyu shook his head. Against ordinary monsters, his basic attacks packed decent punch. Without critical strikes, he could slay most foes within 2 or 3 shots. But when facing thick-skinned Black Iron tier bosses like the Goblin High Priest, regular strikes felt painfully weak. Still, with an attack speed of 2.21 and a 50 critical hit rate, Suyu could maintain solid sustained damage output. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning materialized directly above Suyu without warning. Boom. 480. The lightning struck him immediately, leaving his limbs tingling and sluggish. Ugh, this lightning bolt is brutal. Not only is it a targeted skill, it also inflicts a paralyzed debuff. Suyu frowned. Thankfully, he had activated his shield beforehand. Otherwise, this single lightning strike would have left his health hanging by a thread. Most damage-focused players would get sent straight back to the respawn point from a hit like this. Suyu possessed 118 magic defense, nearly matching the Goblin High Priest's own magic resistance. Even with such high defense, the Goblin High Priest's lightning bolt still dealt 480 damage to him. Average damage dealers without fully assembled equipment could never withstand this spell. Seeing Suyu trapped under paralysis, the Goblin High Priest stretched its mouth into a vicious, triumphant grin. Summon Goblin Warrior. Without hesitation, it began summoning minions. The skill required a short channel time, and it planned to take advantage of Suyu's immobile paralysis to bring reinforcements into the fight. The Goblin High Priest deeply feared Suyu's strength. A single combo could strip away a fifth of its health. It worried that Suyu, when free of crowd control, might possess ways to interrupt its spellcasting. Moments later, a large green magic formation spread open in front of it. A towering elite goblin warrior clambered out from within the array. Shortly afterward, 10 smaller regular goblin warriors emerged one after another. Wah! The elite goblin warrior roared, then led all ordinary goblin warriors charging straight at Suyu. It can summon an elite monster too? Suyu looked surprised. He had only expected a handful of regular goblins. He did not anticipate it could call forth such a capable squad. One elite goblin warrior alongside 10 standard goblin warriors. These summoned creatures retained their full stats, identical to the monsters Suyu had defeated previously. This squad alone would pose a massive threat to ordinary player parties. Suyu could not help but reassess the Goblin High Priest's combat strength. Unfortunately for you, I have area of effect attacks. These minions are nothing more than free experience fodder to me. A cold smirk tugged at Suyu's lips. Soon, the paralysis wore off. Whoosh! The instant he regained control, Suyu unleashed Lightning Arrow, his area skill. He aimed at an ordinary goblin warrior positioned behind the elite unit. At its current strength, Lightning Arrow could not instantly kill the elite goblin warrior. To trigger the skill's chain kill mechanic, the initial target needed to be a regular goblin. Bang! 1,250. In the next instant, Lightning Arrow slammed into its mark. Crackle bang! 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 1,250. 2,671. Critical hit 1125. Arcs of electricity jumped wildly between targets, striking every enemy nearby in the blink of an eye. Even the distant Goblin High Priest could not evade the lightning's chain effect. Successfully slain LV.5 Goblin Warrior summoned Common Mob. Skill point +1. Successfully slain LV.5 Goblin Warrior summoned Common Mob. Skill point +1. System notifications chimed repeatedly in Suyu's ears. With one lightning arrow, he eliminated 6 ordinary goblin warriors. Huh? Slaying summoned monsters grants no experience, but gives skill points. Suyu quickly caught the difference in the system prompts. Does that mean I can endlessly farm skill points right here? A thought lit up his eyes, a pleasant surprise. As long as the Goblin High Priest's summoning skill did not have an excessively long cooldown, he could keep grinding skill points non-stop. Each summoning wave spawned 11 monsters, which translated to 11 skill points. Out in the wild, tracking down and defeating 11 monsters would easily take 2 to 3 minutes. Higher-level monsters always appeared in sparser numbers. The further players ventured, the more time they wasted searching for targets. If the Goblin High Priest could summon 1 wave per minute, Suyu would earn 11 skill points every 60 seconds. This method was far more efficient than hunting wild monsters. Better still, farming here saved him the exhaustion of constant traveling. There was one downside, however. Spending too long here might cost him the dungeon's first clear reward. I'll clear out these remaining summons first, and time how quickly the High Priest can cast summon again. If the cooldown is short enough for sustained farming, skill points become my priority. Suyu quickly settled on his plan. In Suyu's view, the first clear reward for normal mode of a level 5 dungeon would be limited in value. When he became the first player to hit level 5 from Newbie Village 9528, his reward had only been a silver tier skill book and 10 reputation points. While dungeon first clear rewards competed among players globally, this was merely normal difficulty for a level 5 instance. Even for a solo clear, the maximum reward would likely be a diamond tier item plus some reputation. Diamond tier loot was desirable, yet if forced to choose, Suyu prioritized large quantities of skill points. Skill points offered far greater improvements to his power at this stage. It would be worthwhile if the reward was a diamond tier skill or consumable. A diamond tier piece of equipment would be disappointing, offering him minimal gains. How powerful could level 5 diamond equipment really be? Once he sorted through his thoughts, he stopped fixating on securing the normal mode first clear. Gathering more skill points to boost his strength took precedence. After witnessing the Goblin High Priest's capabilities, Suyu's confidence in clearing Hell mode wavered slightly. If the High Priest was already this dangerous on normal difficulty, how overwhelming would its Hell mode variant be? Perhaps Eternal Life was designed so that no player could conquer Hell mode at all. Yet if he farmed enough skill points now, his odds of overcoming Hell mode would rise dramatically. As these thoughts raced through his mind, Suyu stepped backward to create distance while continuously forming mana arrows. Whoosh, whoosh. Before long, all wounded surviving goblin warriors were eliminated. He then fired off a Soul Reaper arrow, instantly slaying the elite goblin warrior. 2 more shield layers materialized on his body as a result. On the opposite side, the Goblin High Priest watched its summoned minions get wiped out in under 3 seconds. It was overcome by shock and rage. It never imagined this human wielded such overwhelming power, cutting down its allies as easily as harvesting grass. Ice Arrow, Fireball. Eyes blazing red, the Goblin High Priest hurled 2 consecutive spells towards Suyu. Normally, it relied on its minions to hold the front line while it attacked safely from the rear. Fighting alone made it deeply uncomfortable. One small comfort remained. It would soon be able to summon another wave of minions. If all summoned creatures perished within 10 seconds, Summon Goblin's cooldown would be reduced by 98. The standard cooldown stood at 300 seconds, but now it only needed 6. Adding the time that had already passed, it merely had to endure a few more seconds to call reinforcements once more. The human's skills dealt devastating damage, yet he was not a mage. His mana pool was surely limited. He could not unleash such powerful spells endlessly. This line of reasoning calmed the Goblin High Priest somewhat. Meanwhile, Suyu endured the ice arrow and fireball launched by the Goblin High Priest. Neither spell was a targeted ability, and their projectiles traveled relatively slowly. With Suyu's high agility stat, dodging them would have been trivial. Still, he chose to take the hits to fully gauge the Goblin High Priest's full combat potential. Knowledge of the enemy meant victory. His ultimate goal was clearing Hell mode, so he would inevitably fight this boss again. Ice Arrow deals roughly equal damage to Lightning Bolt and applies a slow debuff. I need to check if the slow triggers every hit or based on chance. Fireball is likely its strongest offensive spell, hitting for about 1.5 times Lightning Bolt's damage. However, Fireball travels the slowest and proves easiest to evade. That explains why it casts Ice Arrow first, followed by Fireball. Once trapped by Ice Arrow's slow, dodging the subsequent Fireball becomes extremely difficult. Suyu quickly drew these conclusions. Ice Arrow's slow affected everything: movement speed, attack speed, and reaction time. It was as if the victim's limbs stiffened with frost. Thanks to his exceptional agility and basic archery passive, The debuff's impact stayed limited even after being struck. I have a solid grasp of the Goblin High Priest's abilities now. All that's left is to wait and see how quickly it can summon more goblin minions. A glimmer of anticipation appeared in Suyu's eyes. Whoosh, whoosh. Thoughts swirled in Suyu's head, yet his hands never paused. 515. 1290. Critical hit, 518. Endless mana arrows streaked toward the Goblin High Priest. Suyu planned to whittle its HP down to roughly 10%, ensuring a single Soul Reaper arrow would finish it off. If the High Priest failed to summon new minions within 1 minute, he would deliver the killing blow immediately. If summon goblins' cooldown exceeded 60 seconds, farming skill points became inefficient. In that case, he should end the fight quickly and claim the first clear reward. After exhausting its rotation of spells, the Goblin High Priest became little more than a stationary target, helpless against Suyu's arrows. A few seconds later, Suyu noticed the Goblin High Priest preparing to cast another skill. He halted his attacks silently and observed. Suyu's attack power was immense. A well-timed critical strike could interrupt channeling spells. High-damage strikes and crowd control abilities alike could break a mage's casting sequence. This rule only failed if the caster possessed a super armor buff to render channeling uninterruptible. Shortly afterward, the large green summoning array unfurled once again. An elite goblin warrior alongside 10 regular goblin warriors crawled out from within. What in the world? It can summon minions again after only a few seconds? Suyu felt equal parts stunned and excited. Dread crept into his mind first. If the summoning cooldown was this brief on normal mode, how terrifying would the Hell mode Goblin High Priest be? Summon minions in Hell mode would undoubtedly boast vastly enhanced stats. If it could spawn hordes of enemies every few seconds, even Suyu, with power far exceeding players of his level, might fail to clear the dungeon. The excitement was obvious, though. Endless skill point farming awaited him. So long as the Goblin High Priest retained sufficient mana, he could keep grinding. As a Black Iron tier boss, its mana reserves would be substantial. Suyu estimated he could complete 20 to 30 summoning cycles. That equaled 200 to 300 skill points minimum. This dungeon was a hidden treasure trove. Lightning Arrow. Without hesitation, Suyu unleashed the area attack immediately. Bang. 1250. Crackle. 1250. 2671. Critical hit 1125. Electric arcs flashed across the battlefield. In an instant, over half of the newly summoned goblins lay defeated. Successfully slain LV.5 Goblin Warriors summoned Common Mob. Skill point +1. Successfully slain LV.5 Goblin Warriors summoned Common Mob. Skill point +1. Suyu pressed his advantage, firing a Soul Reaper arrow to instantly eliminate the elite Goblin Warrior, stacking 2 additional thick shield layers on himself. Soul Reaper arrow's level 30 trait contained no cap on shield stacking. At his current rate of 1 Soul Reaper arrow every 3 seconds, Suyu could stack up to 20 shield layers in peak condition. Each shield layer absorbed 5,000 to 6,000 damage on average. 20 layers combined could withstand well over 6 figures of incoming damage. Soul Reaper arrow's level 30 passive made Suyu nearly fearless of harm. Once he fully stacked his shields, even the Hell mode Goblin High Priest might struggle to break through his barriers. His only concern was swarming tactics. If the Hell mode variant summoned large numbers of ranged monsters, sheer quantity might overwhelm him no matter how sturdy his shields. Still, Suyu refused to believe Hell mode would be designed to such an absurd extreme. If that were the case, no player on Earth could ever conquer it. Moments later, Suyu mopped up all remaining wounded goblin warriors with basic attacks. Once more, only the lone Goblin High Priest remained alive within the vast dungeon chamber. Wah! Wah! The Goblin High Priest flew into complete madness at the sight. It had just summoned such a formidable force of minions, yet they collapsed in the blink of an eye. It stared at Suyu as if witnessing a monster, unable to comprehend how a single human could wield such strength. What are you staring at? Summon more goblins quickly. Suyu shouted toward the enraged Goblin High Priest. Hurry and call your reinforcements, or I'll kill you right now. Wah wah. The Goblin High Priest's eyes burned crimson. Did it hear correctly? This was completely backwards. The human was ordering it to summon minions, threatening to slay it otherwise. It was the dungeon's final boss. How could it be bullied so relentlessly? The rules should dictate that it crush weak humans without mercy. As the dignified Goblin High Priest, its current predicament was utterly humiliating. Whoosh, whoosh. Suyu continued chipping away at the Goblin High Priest's HP with basic strikes. He needed to keep the boss feeling perpetually endangered. He suspected constant mortal threat pressured it into repeatedly summoning minions. Today, he planned to squeeze every last bit of value from this goblin high priest. Several seconds passed. Suyu spotted the familiar telltale signs of another summoning cast. All skills besides Summon Goblin were nearly instant cast, making its channeling easy to detect. Sure enough, the large green magic array materialized once more. Ha ha ha, perfect. Now this is a proper boss, Suyu grinned widely. Channeling Summon Goblin took roughly 2 to 3 seconds, with an effective cooldown of around 6 seconds. That meant he could farm one wave of minions and earn 11 skill points approximately every 10 seconds. 66 skill points per minute. The efficiency was staggering. Suyu repeated his tactics, swiftly wiping out every goblin spawn. 11 skill points landed in his inventory effortlessly. Several minutes later, have we hit its limit? Suyu studied the goblin high priest, which showed no signs of summoning new minions, lost in thought. Over these past minutes, Suyu completed 28 full farming cycles. Combined with the initial 3 rounds, he had farmed 31 cycles in total. After 31 waves, the goblin high priest was completely drained. For more than 20 seconds, it could not cast a single ability. Its mana pool had hit rock bottom. Very well. I'll grant you a swift end. Suyu shook his head in mild disappointment. He hoped to farm more skill points. Once he defeated the goblin high priest, he would definitely reach level 6. After that, he could no longer enter the normal difficulty dungeon to grind skill points. Still, it was not a major issue. Hard and nightmare difficulties would serve the same purpose later on. The Goblin Plains dungeon accepted players between level 5 and level 8, roughly corresponding to monster levels across its 4 difficulty tiers. Normal difficulty featured level 5 monsters, Hard held level 6 foes, Nightmare housed level 7 enemies, and Hell was populated by level 8 creatures. Suyu wondered if his strength would suffice to farm skill points efficiently on Hell difficulty. But at the very least, he should be able to earn another batch of skill points in Hard and Nightmare modes. A thought crossed Suyu's mind, and he drew his beginner longbow into a full moon draw. Whoosh! 2 green soul-seeking arrows sliced through the air instantly. 1992. 4610. Critical hit. The Goblin High Priest's health bar dropped to 0 in an instant. Is this finally the end? As consciousness slipped away, only one thought lingered in the Goblin High Priest's mind. This human on the opposite side was utterly unreasonable, tormenting him like this. Who was even the real dungeon boss here? You have successfully slain LV5 Goblin High Priest Iron Tier boss. Gain plus 3,000 experience, plus 2 silver coins, plus 500 copper coins, plus 1 skill point. Right afterward, a golden light flashed across Suyu's body. Congratulations. You have reached level 6. All attributes plus 1, free attribute points plus 5, skill points plus 5. Suyu had no time to allocate the newly obtained free attribute points when a string of system notifications echoed in his ears one after another. Village announcement. Congratulations to player Yu Huang for becoming the first player in New Village 9528 to solo defeat a boss. Reward. 1 gold coin, 10 reputation. Village announcement. Congratulations to player Yu Huang for becoming the first player in New Village 9528 to solo defeat an Iron Tier boss. Reward. 1 gold coin, 10 reputation. Global announcement pending. Would you like to hide your display name? No hiding. Suyu made his decision without hesitation. A display name was nothing worth concealing. Moreover, strength reigned supreme in this world, and fame was itself a form of power. Building a reputation would likely spare him plenty of trouble in the future, and might even earn him favor from certain NPCs. Global announcement. Congratulations to Yu Huang, player of the Saint Dragon Empire, for being the first to clear the normal difficulty of the Goblin Plains dungeon. Reward. 1 gold tier level 5 accessory for your class, 1 gold coin, 100 reputation. Times 3. Global announcement. Congratulations to Yu Huang, player of the Saint Dragon Empire, for being the first to solo clear the normal difficulty of the Goblin Plains dungeon. Reward. 1 gold tier fashion outfit, 1 gold coin, 100 reputation. Times 3. 6 consecutive global announcements rang in the ears of every player on Blue Star, instantly sending all gamers into an uproar. What on earth? Someone has cleared a dungeon by themselves already. The Goblin Plains dungeon? Isn't that the level 5 dungeon? Must be. Didn't you see the reward is a level 5 gold tier accessory? I'm so envious. I'm still stuck with beginner gear, and he already has gold tier accessories. Accessories are far rarer than armor or weapons. Wow, a gold tier fashion set as well. That outfit has to be incredible, no question. Player Yu Huang is unbelievably strong. It's only been a little over 2 hours since we logged into Eternal Life. He's not only hit level 5, he's solo cleared a level 5 dungeon. Tell me about it. I'm only level 2 right now, and he's already solo clearing level 5 dungeons. Comparing people really frustrates you. Yu Huang must possess a top-tier god-rank talent. Otherwise, there's no way he could clear this dungeon so quickly. Countless players exchanged comments, overcome with shock, curiosity, and envy. Saint Dragon Empire, New Village 1. A young man wielding a longsword fought fiercely against the goblin warrior before him. Suddenly, the 6 successive global announcements sounded beside him. Huh? Someone cleared the Goblin Plains dungeon already. A look of disbelief flashed across the youth's eyes. He bore a god-rank talent, after all. Ever since logging into Eternal Life, he had not wasted a single moment. It had taken him less than 2 hours to reach level 5. While leveling, he had located the entrance to the Goblin Plains dungeon long ago. The moment he hit level 5, he headed straight inside without delay. Yet now someone had cleared the dungeon, and he had not even laid eyes on its final boss. Half an hour had passed since entering, and he had slain more than 200 goblin warriors. He wondered how much longer this would go on. Oh well, at least the dungeon first clear reward went to someone from Great Xia, not players from the Western nations or the Sakura Kingdom. I need to speed up my monster farming. I might still have a shot at claiming first clear rewards for the higher difficulty tiers. The young man refused to be discouraged. Battle fervor blazed in his gaze. Falling behind temporarily meant nothing. His god-rank talent offered only modest advantages in the early game. Its overwhelming power would reveal itself in the later stages. Holy Empire, New Village 996. A blond man sat casually on the grass. A dozen summoned creatures a short distance away relentlessly swarmed the goblin high priest. My god-rank talent pairs perfectly with the summoner class. It won't be long before I claim that dungeon first clear reward. Expectation filled Israel's eyes. His god-rank talent drastically boosted both the strength and maximum number of his summons. This granted him power far exceeding summoners of equal level. Furthermore, as he unlocked more summoning skills in the future, his advantage would only keep growing. Victory bred further victory. He had full confidence in his future. Soon he would seize the dungeon first clear reward, establish his renown, and let everyone witness his power. Abruptly, the 6 global announcements echoed beside Israel. He shot to his feet, eyes wide open, half convinced he had misheard. What? The first clear reward was snatched by someone from Great Xia. How is that possible? How could anyone make faster progress than me? I command so many powerful summons. Logically, no one should outpace my farming speed. Israel simply could not accept that another player had pulled ahead of him. Yet the stark truth stood before him, forcing him to admit he had underestimated his rivals. Yu Huang, I've remembered your name. You are only barely ahead of me. The first clear reward for hard difficulty is still up for grabs. A sharp glint appeared in Israel's eyes. His god-rank talent scaled with his level. He would reach level 6 soon, at which point his summons would multiply and grow even stronger. He firmly believed he would surpass Suyu and reclaim the glory that ought to belong to him. Sakura Kingdom, New Village 250. A burly man in gray robes frowned upon hearing the global announcements. A player from Great Xia claimed the dungeon first clear reward. That spells bad news for our nation. Still, let greater powers bear the pressure. The elites of the Holy Empire will not let him grow unchecked. As for me, I will develop steadily and cautiously. Given enough time, even the powerful players from the Holy Empire will bow before me. Confidence filled the gaze of Miyamoto Keiichi. While his god-rank talent was admittedly weak in the early game, and he had only just reached level 5, Miyamoto Keiichi believed that with sufficient time, reaching the pinnacle of eternal life was not beyond his reach. Saint Dragon Empire, New Village 9528. Inside the normal difficulty Goblin Plains dungeon. Haha, I never expected clearing a simple level 5 normal dungeon would trigger 4 sets of announcement rewards. Joy shone in Suyu's eyes as he examined the loot inside his inventory. Defeating the Goblin High Priest had unlocked 2 village announcements and 2 global announcements. These 4 batches of rewards granted him 1 gold tier level 5 ring, 1 gold tier fashion set, for gold coins, and 220 reputation points in total. The gains far exceeded his expectations. Without delay, Suyu checked the attributes of the gold tier ring and fashion outfit. Ring of Swiftness gold tier, agility plus 20, attack speed plus 20, movement speed plus 20, equipped skill, Swift Rush. Equip requirement, level 5. Swift Rush equipped skill. Upon activation, movement speed plus 200. Lasts 3 minutes, cooldown 5 minutes. Cloudweave Wind Robes Gold Tier. All attributes plus 50. All attributes plus 5. Equip requirement. None. Excellent. Both are fantastic items. Suyu nodded in satisfaction. The Ring of Swiftness boosted his attack and movement speed, and its active skill granted a massive surge in mobility. With a relatively short cooldown, Suyu could rely on it frequently in combat. If he had possessed this ring before entering the Goblin Plains dungeon, his clear time would have been shortened further. He was even more pleased with the Cloudweave Wind Robes. Leaving appearance aside, its attributes alone were outstanding. The flat plus 50 to all attributes offered considerable strength gains in the early game, while the 5 all attributes bonus would shine in the late game. Especially considering Suyu only had 19 constitution before, the fashion set nearly multiplied his constitution several times over. It remained valuable from early to late game, so naturally he was delighted. Visually, the fashion set suited his tastes perfectly. Its primary hues were pale sky blue and moon white, etched with delicate cloud and wind patterns. Feather-like decorations lined the garment edges, lending it an ethereal, lightweight flow. Suyu equipped the Ring of Swiftness and Cloudweave Wind Robes at once. Instantly, he felt his body grow lighter, and his combat power rose noticeably. Fashion overrode the appearance of other equipped gear. His slightly worn Swiftwalk boots and iron belt vanished from sight. His entire look underwent a complete transformation. Let me see what loot the Goblin High Priest dropped. Suyu turned his gaze toward the creature's corpse. After the Goblin High Priest fell, a white loot orb and a treasure chest spawned. The white orb held rewards for slaying the boss, while the chest contained dungeon-clear loot. Suyu strode forward and collected the contents of the white orb first. You obtain ×1 iron longbow. You obtain ×1 wolfhide chestplate. You obtain ×1 primary strength gemstone. You obtain ×1 primary agility gemstone. Not bad. 2 iron tier pieces of gear plus 2 gemstones. Suyu nodded contentedly. Gemstones could be socketed into equipment to grant extra attributes. However, socketing required players or NPCs who mastered the corresponding crafting profession. No players had unlocked such professions yet, so he would likely need to seek relevant NPCs back in the starting village. Iron Longbow, Iron Tier. Attack power plus 25, strength plus 5. Equip requirement, level 5. Wolfhide chestplate, Iron Tier. HP plus 100, physical defense plus 5, magic defense plus 5, constitution plus 5. Equip requirement, level 5. Suyu equipped the newly obtained Iron Tier gear immediately. Every small boost counted, and these pieces improved his combat effectiveness somewhat. Once I open this chest, I can leave the dungeon. Suyu eyed the treasure chest, eager to claim its contents. Suyu walked up and opened the chest. Blinding light burst forth, the chest faded away, and system notifications chimed in his ears. You obtain ×1 iron staff. 2. You obtain ×1 deerhide leggings. 3. You obtained 3 silver coins. 4. You obtain ×3 intermediate health restoration potions, Iron Tier. Acceptable, I suppose. At least 1 usable Iron Tier piece dropped. Suyu shook his head slightly. 6. He had hoped the chest would contain at least 1 Bronze Tier item. Instead, it only yielded 2 Iron Tier pieces, one of which he could not equip. Still, he did not dwell on it. At this stage, the gap between Iron Tier and Bronze Tier equipment was not overly significant for him. 8. Deerhide leggings, Iron Tier. HP plus 100, physical defense plus 5, magic defense plus 5, constitution plus 5. Equip requirement, level 5. Suyu glanced over the leggings stats and equipped them without hesitation. After putting them on, his maximum HP rose by roughly 200 points. 10. While trivial compared to his shield strength, the extra HP offered greater security when his shield expired. Next, he allocated all 5 free attribute points earned upon reaching level 6 into agility. After sorting through all his newly acquired rewards, Suyu reviewed his base attributes. Attributes: Strength 352, Constitution 84, Agility 231, Spirit 172, HP 2080, Mana 3440, Physical Attack 724, Physical Defense 104, Magic Defense 187, Attack Speed 2.59, Movement Speed 9.04. Compared to his status before entering the dungeon, his base attributes had surged dramatically. Most notably, his HP climbed above 2,000. Even tank classes of the same level possessed far less health than he did. I'll upgrade my skills, then head straight into hard difficulty. Anticipation flickered across Suyu's eyes. He still held 385 skill points, enough to boost his strength once more. Perhaps farming hard difficulty would prove even easier than normal. First, raise basic archery to level 30. Suyu quickly settled on his plan. Basic archery was a common rank skill. It would cost 245 skill points to unlock its level 30 passive trait. Following past patterns, the trait would grant strength and agility bonuses, enhancing his overall combat power. You spent 20 skill points. Basic archery level increased. Current level, 21. You spent 29 skill points. Basic archery level increased. Current level, 30. LV 30 basic archery common rank. Passive skill. Attack speed plus 80, movement speed plus 80, attack range plus 75. LV 30 trait. Strength plus 50, agility plus 50, strength plus 5, agility plus 5, attack speed plus 30, movement speed plus 30. Great. This trait has 2 extra stat lines compared to level 20. Suyu nodded in approval. After maxing basic archery to level 30, his physical attack jumped to 870, attack speed rose to 3.08, and movement speed climbed to 10.69. His power had grown substantially once again. 140 skill points left. I might as well put them all into Power Shot. Suyu thought to himself. Power Shot raised his critical chance. Based on previous trends, leveling Power Shot to 20 would grant a full 100 critical chance. On top of that, Power Shot's level 20 trait would greatly boost strength and critical damage. With 100 critical chance, he would land critical hits on nearly every arrow, provided the target lacked high critical resistance. This would bring a qualitative leap to his damage output. You spent 30 skill points. Power Shot level increased. Current level, 11. You spent 39 skill points. Power Shot level increased. Current level, 14. LV 14 Power Shot bronze rank. Passive skill. Increases critical chance by 70. After spending 138 skill points, Power Shot reached level 14. A 70 critical chance meant, barring terrible luck, he would score critical hits on 2 out of every 3 arrows. 38. Once he finished upgrading skills, Suyu selected the option to leave the dungeon without delay. Moments later, he returned to the Swiftwind Plains. He wasted no time and chose to enter hard difficulty for the Goblin Plains dungeon. A wave of dizziness washed over him, and he found himself back within the familiar Goblin Plains dungeon. The scenery remained unchanged, yet the green-skinned monsters in the distance looked noticeably different. In normal difficulty, the first foes he encountered had all been goblin warriors. Amid the horde of green-skinned monsters, there were not only goblin warriors wielding maces, but also goblin mages clutching staffs. 44. LV6 Goblin Warrior Common Grade, HP, 2700/2700 Physical Attack, 200 Physical Defense, 110, Magic Defense, 65 Skill, Heavy Strike. LV6 Goblin Mage Common Grade, HP, 1800/1800 Magic Attack, 270 Physical Defense, 65, Magic Defense, 110 Skill, Fireball, Ice Arrow. No wonder this is hard mode. The monster's stats are far stronger than those in normal mode, Suyu murmured in amazement. Monsters in hard mode were level 6. Ordinarily, their attributes would only be around 50% higher than level 5 monsters at most. Yet these level 6 goblin warriors on hard mode were more than twice as powerful as the level 5 goblin warriors from normal mode. Even compared to level 5 elite goblins on normal mode, they outmatched them in every stat apart from having far less HP. But I'm not who I used to be either. I've grown vastly stronger. A faint smirk tugged at Suyu's lips. Lightning Arrow. Standing safely within the safe zone, Suyu drew his black iron longbow into a full moon. Back when he farmed normal mode, Suyu had to step outside the safe zone to strike distant goblin squads. Now, thanks to his sharply increased strength stat and basic archery reaching level 30, his attack range had expanded tremendously. Whoosh. 3,996. Critical hit crackle. 3,996. Critical hit, 3,796. Critical hit, 1798. Arcs of electric current leaped wildly. In moments, only 3 of the original 12 monsters in the Goblin Squad remained barely alive. You have slain LV6 Goblin Warrior Common Grade. EXP plus 90, Copper Coin plus 100, Skill Point plus 1. You have slain LV6 Goblin Mage Common Grade. EXP plus 90, Skill Point plus 1. Whoosh. Whoosh, whoosh. Seizing the momentum, Suyu loosed several regular arrows and easily finished off the last 3 monsters. All 12 goblins died to his arrows without ever laying eyes on their attacker. I need to hurry and head to the next monster spawn point. Suyu could hardly wait to face the Goblin High Priest. During his run against the Goblin High Priest on normal mode, Suyu had cleared the encounter 31 times in a row, earning 341 skill points. He was eager to see how many skill points he could gain this time. Swiftness. Suyu activated the equipment skill of his swiftness ring with a thought. His movement speed instantly jumped from 10.69 to 13.68. Numerically, it was an increase of less than 30%. Yet movement speed grew harder to boost in tiers. The higher one's base movement speed, the more difficult further improvements became. In the later stages of the game, raising movement speed by a single point required massive amounts of agility. At my current speed, I should reach the Goblin High Priest in roughly 10 minutes, Suyu thought as he sprinted forward. To avoid exhausting his stamina excessively, Suyu maintained a pace equal to 80% of his maximum movement speed, around 11 meters per second. From his experience farming normal mode, monster spawns appeared roughly every 200 meters. That meant he would arrive at the next gathering point in less than 20 seconds, about 10 seconds faster than during his normal mode runs. This small advantage alone would cut several minutes from his dungeon clear time. Soon, Suyu reached the second monster spawn point. He opened with Lightning Arrow once more, wiping out all goblins in under 2 seconds. You have slain LV6 Goblin Warrior Common Grade. EXP plus 90, Copper Coin plus 100, Skill Point plus 1. You have slain LV6 Goblin Mage Common Grade. EXP plus 90, Skill Point plus 1. System notifications chimed beside Suyu's ears, yet he paid them no heed, rushing straight toward the next spawn. Approximately 10 minutes later, a familiar alert echoed in his mind. 77. You have slain 360 goblins. The dungeon enters Phase 2. 78. Elite goblin units will arrive on the battlefield in 30 seconds. Please wait in place. Finally, Phase 2. I can catch my breath. Suyu let out a long exhale. He had kept up his pace along the way, and even with careful pacing, stamina consumption remained considerable. Fortunately, Suyu's total stats had surpassed 1,000, raising his stamina cap and recovery rate significantly. I've gained another 65 skill points. I'll keep upgrading Power Shot to raise my critical hit rate and widen my margin for error, Suyu planned silently. He had been investing skill points into Power Shot nonstop on the way. Just minutes earlier, he had brought Power Shot up to level 20. Still, Suyu knew most bosses possessed critical resistance. He resolved to raise Power Shot 2 more levels. If the boss's critical resistance stayed below 10%, he could maintain consistent critical hits with every arrow. 86. You consume 60 skill points. Power Shot level increased. Current level, 21. 87. LV21 Power Shot Bronze Grade, Passive Skill. Boosts self-critical hit rate by 105. LV20 Trait. Strength plus 150, critical damage plus 25. Unlocking the level 20 trait for Power Shot pushed Suyu's physical attack above 1,000, soaring to 1216, while his critical damage rose to 250. This allowed him to clear every subsequent monster wave with a single lightning arrow, leaving no survivors. His farming efficiency improved drastically. 30 seconds quickly ticked down. 4 streaks of white light descended from above, and 2 elite goblin warriors alongside 2 elite goblin mages materialized before Suyu. LV6 Elite Goblin Warrior Elite Grade, HP, 12,000/12,000 Physical Attack, 270 Physical Defense, 150 Magic Defense, 100 Skill, Heavy Strike, Berserk. LV6 Elite Goblin Mage Elite Grade, HP, 8,000/8,000 Magic Attack, 360 Physical Defense, 80 Magic Defense, 150 Skill, Fireball, Ice Arrow, Lightning Bolt. Their stats are impressive, but they pose no threat to me. Suyu shook his head with a grin. The elite goblin warriors and mages boasted formidable attributes. The elite goblin mages in particular packed high magic attack and possessed lightning bolt. Unfortunately, they could not pressure Suyu at all. With his current attack range and movement speed, he could easily stay out of the mage's effective casting radius. Their lightning bolts would never reach him, while he could strike them freely. When both sides relied on ranged attacks, whoever possessed the longer range held absolute dominance. 100. As for the elite goblin warriors, they were nothing more than stationary targets to him. Soul-piercing arrow. Suyu knocked his arrow and drew the black iron longbow into a full draw. Whoosh. 9,402. Critical hit 9,402. Critical hit in an instant. The elite goblin warrior blocking the mage was drained of all HP. You have slain LV6 Elite Goblin Warrior Elite Grade. EXP plus 450, Copper Coin plus 500, Skill Point plus 1. The 3 remaining elite goblins watched their ally get instantly slain. Their eyes blazed red, and they charged straight towards Suyu. Suyu immediately stepped backward to widen the gap, avoiding entering the elite goblin mage's casting range. Arrows flew non-stop from his bow. His kiting technique was second nature to him. 108 whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3098. Critical hit 3096. Critical hit 3028. Critical hit. Attacking 3 times each second, Suyu brought the remaining 3 elites' HP below 5,000 in less than 2 seconds. Lightning arrow. At Suyu's thought, a thunder-wreathed arrow shot forward. 111. 5,790. Critical hit crackle. 5,790. Critical hit 5,210. Critical hit. The 3 elite goblins' health vanished completely. You have slain LV6 Elite Goblin Warrior Elite Grade. EXP plus 450. Copper coin plus 500. Skill point plus 1. You have slain LV6 Elite Goblin Mage Elite Grade. EXP plus 450. Copper coin plus 500. Skill point plus 1. You have slain 4 elite goblins. The dungeon enters Phase 3. The final boss, Goblin High Priest, will arrive on the battlefield in 30 seconds. Please wait in place. Nothing beats landing critical hits every shot. Suyu laughed. Consistent critical hits boosted his damage output enormously. With his critical damage sitting at 250, it was an enormous power spike. Not bad. 3 loot orbs dropped. The drop rate is pretty decent. Suyu glanced at the 4 elite goblin corpses in the distance and smiled. Suyu strode forward and collected all items from the 3 orbs. You obtained Iron Helmet Iron Grade ×1. You obtained Skill Book, Ice Arrow Iron Grade ×1. You obtained Strength Ring Iron Grade ×1. Great. I can use both of these Iron Grade pieces of equipment. Suyu nodded in satisfaction. Iron Helmet Iron Grade. HP plus 150, Physical Defense plus 6, Magic Defense plus 6, Vitality plus 6, Equipment Requirement, Level 6. 126, Strength Ring Iron Grade, Strength plus 12, Equipment Requirement, Level 6. Suyu equipped the 2 items without hesitation. His base stats rose once again. HP, 2350, Physical Attack, 1242, Physical Defense, 116, Magic Defense, 193. It's a shame this Ice Arrow skill book can only be learned by mages. Otherwise I'd gain another slow effect crowd control skill, Suyu sighed. Ice Arrow slowed targets upon impact. A slowed enemy suffered reduced movement speed, attack speed, reaction speed, and even spell casting speed. It was an excellent soft crowd control skill. No big loss. I'll hold on to it. I should be able to trade it for a skill book usable by archers later, Suyu thought to himself. In his opinion, skill books were valuable commodities. Even iron grade ones were worth more than many higher tier pieces of equipment. In the game Eternal Life, players faced no limit on the number of skill slots. As long as they satisfied the prerequisites to learn a skill book, they could keep acquiring new skills. However, leveling skills demanded vast quantities of skill points, which most players could never afford to spend freely on multiple skills. Only Suyu could burn skill points without restraint. He never worried about whether he could support numerous skills. He could even break through the standard maximum level cap for skills. Even the weakest common grade skills became formidable tools in his hands. Shortly afterward, a beam of white light descended, and the Goblin High Priest appeared within Suyu's sight. Compared to the normal mode version, the hard mode Goblin High Priest exuded far heavier oppressive aura. Its robe and staff also looked far more finely crafted. LV6 Goblin High Priest Bronze Grade Boss, HP. 120000/12000 Magic Attack, 480 Physical Defense, 200 Magic Defense, 240 Skill, Fireball, Ice Arrow, Lightning Bolt, Magic Shield, Summon Goblin Squad, 120,000 HP, and 480 Magic Attack. Truly worthy of being a bronze grade boss. I wonder what rewards the Goblin Squad it summons will bring me. Suyu stared at the Goblin High Priest, eyes filled with anticipation. Soul Piercing Arrow. Suyu wasted no time opening with Soul Piercing Arrow to stack 2 defensive shields. 146. After all, a single lightning bolt from the Goblin High Priest's high magic attack could strip nearly half of his HP. Suyu could keep his distance to avoid its attacks, but caution was wise. There was no telling what hidden abilities the boss might possess. The basic Inspect skill all players carried had limitations. It only displayed general information. Details such as exact skill parameters, critical resistance, and damage reduction effects remained hidden from Inspect. Suyu dared not assume the Goblin High Priest lacked hidden tricks. One wrong move could prove fatal. The The penalties for death were far too severe for him to gamble with his progress. Boom. Boom. 9,528. Critical hit 9,528. Critical hit. Two soul-piercing arrows struck the Goblin High Priest in the blink of an eye, stripping nearly 1/6 of its total HP. Screech. The Goblin High Priest let out a pained roar. Its eyes blazed crimson as it searched for the source of the attack, quickly spotting Suyu. Gritting its teeth in rage, the Goblin High Priest cast Magic Shield on itself at once. It needed the shield to gain a sliver of safety. Once the shield was active, the Goblin High Priest charged straight towards Suyu. It could not unleash its arsenal of spells while out of casting range. Why chase me? Summon your goblin squad already. Suyu watched its actions, growing slightly frustrated. He could not fathom the High Priest's logic. Unable to attack, it should summon reinforcements first. Several more seconds passed. Very well, have it your way. Once you finish attacking, summon your squad quickly. 161. Suyu sighed and turned to sprint toward the Goblin High Priest. Soon, he stepped into the boss's casting range. Without warning, a bolt of lightning materialized directly above Suyu's head. Boom. 1080. The lightning struck Suyu, chipping away roughly 1/10 of his first shield. Just summon your goblin squad now. Suyu stood still, gazing toward the boss helplessly. The lightning bolt had not paralyzed him. He had halted his movement voluntarily. Lightning bolt's paralyze effect was not guaranteed to trigger. Much like Suyu's lightning arrow, it only activated by chance. Suyu cared little about the stun chance on lightning arrow anyway. A well-placed lightning arrow usually wiped out groups of weak foes instantly, rendering crowd control unnecessary. Boom. Boom. Suyu endured another ice arrow and a fireball. After launching 3 spells in succession, the Goblin High Priest began chanting a complex incantation. Finally, it's starting to summon the Goblin Squad. Suyu breathed out in relief. He had feared the High Priest might be mentally muddled and forget its summoning ability, which would be an awkward disaster. Thankfully, that was not the case. It seemed the boss had been stunned by Suyu's opening strike, fixated solely on retaliating with spells. The Goblin High Priest possessed limited intelligence and could not formulate flexible battle plans. A massive green magic circle unfolded beneath the Goblin High Priest. It was larger and etched with more intricate runes than the circle summoned by the normal mode Goblin High Priest. Moments later, 1 elite Goblin Warrior and 1 elite Goblin Mage crawled out of the magic circle. After them, 8 Goblin Warriors and 8 Goblin Mages emerged one after another. Roar! The elite Goblin Warrior roared and led the charge, with the 8 regular Goblin Warriors close behind. Meanwhile, the 8 Goblin Mages advanced under the elite Goblin Mages' lead towards Suyu. Their casting range fell shorter than the High Priest's, forcing them to move forward to reach Suyu. I see. As expected of a bronze-grade boss. It can summon 2 elite goblins and 16 regular goblins in a single summoning. Suyu smiled widely. The hard-mode Goblin High Priest exceeded all expectations. This meant he would earn 18 skill points per summoning cycle. Soul-piercing arrow. Suyu focused his will and loosed an arrow, instantly slaying the charging elite Goblin Warrior at the front. Successfully eliminated LV6 Elite Goblin Warrior Elite Summon, skill point +1. Afterwards, Suyu launched another basic attack, striking the leading elite Goblin Mage in the rear with pinpoint accuracy. 3,160. Critical hit. A single arrow stripped more than 1/3 of the elite Goblin Mage's HP. Right after that, a bolt of lightning arrow streaked forward. Suyu's area of effect skill, Lightning Arrow. 5,966. Critical hit. Successfully eliminated LV6 Elite Goblin Mage Elite Summon, skill point +1. In less than a second, the 2 elite creatures summoned by the Goblin High Priest were both slain by Suyu. Crackle. 5,966. Critical hit. 5,668. Critical hit. 5,366. Critical hit. Arcs of electricity leaped wildly, and every jump instantly killed an ordinary goblin. Successfully eliminated LV6 Goblin Mage Normal Summon, skill point +1. Successfully eliminated LV6 Goblin Mage Normal Summon, skill point +1. In the blink of an eye, all 8 rearline Goblin Mages perished, and only 5 of the 8 frontline Goblin Warriors remained. One was left with low health, while the other 4 retained full HP. The number of jump targets for Lightning Arrow is still a little lacking. I wonder if upgrading Lightning Arrow to level 20 will add more jump targets and lower the damage decay percentage with each bounce. Anticipation stirred within Suyu. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Arrows continuously left Suyu's bow, countless blue mana arrows cutting through the air. Within 2 seconds, he loosed 5 arrows and eliminated all 5 remaining Goblin Warriors. Successfully eliminated LV6 Goblin Warrior Normal Summon. Skill point, +1. Successfully eliminated LV6 Goblin Warrior Normal Summon. Skill point, +1. This feels amazing. 18 skill points earned in under 3 seconds. A faint smile tugged at the corner of Su Yu's mouth. He only hoped this Goblin High Priest could hold out longer, letting him farm more rounds of skill points. 5 seconds quickly passed. The Goblin High Priest began chanting again, preparing to summon the second squad of goblins. It's locked in. This round is going perfectly. Su Yu's face lit up with a grin. Though the hard difficulty Goblin High Priest took slightly longer between summoning goblin squads, the gap was not significant, roughly an extra 2 seconds. A longer interval was no problem, so long as it could summon enough waves. As a bronze tier boss, the hard difficulty Goblin High Priest ought to possess far greater mana reserves. So you would be thoroughly satisfied if it could summon 3 to 5 more squads than its normal difficulty counterpart. If he gained 3 to 5 extra waves of skill points this time, that meant he could collect at least over 600 skill points, enough to max Lightning Arrow all the way to level 20. Soon, a massive green magic circle took shape, and a complete goblin squad was summoned forth. Once more, 1 elite goblin warrior, 1 elite goblin mage, 8 goblin warriors, and 8 goblin mages. Without hesitation, Su Yu opened with Soul Reaper Arrow, instantly eliminating the elite goblin warrior. He followed with a basic attack, chained to Lightning Arrow to wipe out the elite goblin mage and the nearby goblin mages. Finally, basic attacks finished off the remaining 5 goblin warriors. The whole sequence took less than 3 seconds. Anyone witnessing this would be utterly stunned. His damage output was ferocious beyond belief. Who could believe such a powerful goblin squad could not survive 3 seconds under Su Yu's arrows? Roughly 6 minutes later. Very well. If it can no longer summon goblin squads, I'll grant it a swift end. Su Yu shook his head, still craving more combat. Over this fight, he had farmed 37 waves, earning 666 skill points, exceeding all his expectations. Still, watching the Goblin High Priest unable to summon any more minions left him a little disappointed. The rush of gaining skill points in huge bursts was incredibly addictive, and he hated to stop. Soul Reaper Arrow. Su Yu focused his mind, and 2 Soul Reaper arrows shot forth in an instant. Boom, boom. 9,528. Critical hit 9,528. Critical hit. The Goblin High Priest's health dropped to 0 in an instant, yet a relieved smile curved its lips. Successfully eliminated LV6 Goblin High Priest Bronze Tier Boss. Experience plus 4,500, Silver Coins plus 10, Skill Point plus 1. New Village Announcement. Congratulations to player Emperor Yu for becoming the first player in New Village 9528 to solo defeat a Bronze Tier boss. Rewards. Gold Coins times 2, Reputation times 10. World Announcement pending. Would you like to hide your character name? No hiding. Su Yu made his choice without the slightest hesitation. Immediately, 9 consecutive world announcements echoed in the ears of every player across Blue Star. World Announcement. Congratulations to player Emperor Yu of the Saint Dragon Empire for becoming the first player to solo defeat a Bronze Tier boss. Rewards. Class-specific growth accessory max level 50, Star Tier times 1, Gold Coins times 2, Reputation times 100, times 3. World Announcement. Congratulations to player Emperor Yu of the Saint Dragon Empire for becoming the first player to clear the Goblin Plains dungeon on hard difficulty. Rewards. Class-specific growth armor max level 40, Diamond Tier times 1, Gold Coins times 1, Reputation times 100, times 3. World Announcement. Congratulations to player Emperor Yu of the Saint Dragon Empire for becoming the first player to solo clear the Goblin Plains dungeon on hard difficulty. Rewards. Golden Grade Fashion Enhancement Stone times 2, Gold Coins times 2, Reputation times 100, times 3.